Remember Adam said that we need a dingo.
Howdy, everybody, and welcome to the Praise the Pickle podcast. I have with me Mr. Daniel.
Hello there.
That was a lot less enthusiastic. Not
Well, I listened.
words. It's
I
going to
listened
be a
to
good
my last
podcast.
meeting and it deafened me slightly. I thought it was a bit
Oh,
too
it
much. So
Deafened you.
this week I'm going for the mellow.
That just means poor editing, to be honest, if it deafened you, but that's fine.
I can amplify and I can limit. It's all good.
And I also have with me the infamous Kevin Hart.
The one and only me. Hello.
The one and only, that's right. No, there's no famous
Actually,
Kevin Hart or anything.
Two and only.
Yeah, hi everyone, and I hope you've had a fantastic week. So this is the Praise the Pickle podcast, where we talk about video games and everything that we love and hate about them. And we are going to kick things off with the little section that I created with no permission from the other two, called Elephants in the Room from last week.
Wait,
I'm not an elephant this week.
Are you sure, Kevin? How confident are you?
Probably no. I'm probably the only elephant again, but you know.
I'll be honest, right? I listened to last week's podcast twice, and the only thing that I found was Kevin with his new game releases talking about Ukulele and the Impossible Liar, which is actually it's actually the Impossible Lair.
Oh.
That was the only thing I found. So Kevin, you did a wonderful job last week. I really look forward to playing Ukulele and the Impossible Liar.
Well spotted, Ben.
Thank you very much. So so this is more of an elephant in the room from the last 3 weeks, which is timing issues. So basically, we keep promising that we're going to get it under 2 hours. And we've all had a chat, and we've basically decided that we're not going to even try anymore. So we've done everything we can to limit, our content. As a start, we're now moving the top 5 section to a top 3 section, just to try and move things on a bit quicker. Because last week we spoke about top 5 for 50 minutes, which was pretty insane. But so we're going to move it to top 3. Which is hopefully should make it a bit shorter, but this is it. This is the last you're gonna hear of our of timing of us saying, oh, we were supposed to get it under 2 hours, but we didn't do that. We're just gonna.
I think we'll attempt every single week to get it on around the 2 hour mark, but we're not going to be sorry if it goes over, because we don't want to have to limit ourselves to what we're talking about, because we enjoy it, and from what we know of, people enjoy us talking about our sections and our little bits. So if it runs over, it runs over. If it doesn't, the podcast will be what the podcast is.
Exactly.
Yep.
However it turns out.
We have a couple of specials in mind as well. So if you do prefer shorter podcasts, wait for one of those, and they're probably going to be an hour long, and you can listen to those and see what you think.
You wait for Kevin's rants. Everyone's going to love that.
That's not going to be a thing.
What do you mean? Everyone would love it.
So Kevin's podcast is coming soon, which is going to be completely separate to our podcast. Kevin, just rant within the show, okay? You don't need a separate podcast to rant. Just rant.
It's going to be called Praise the Kevin.
Okay, cool. Right. Yeah, so that's that. This was supposed to be my section because, we delegated so that Dan has the news, Kevin has the feedback, and then I had to create my own section. And then, I was going to talk about the time and stuff, and then Kevin just butts in. So that's fine. I'm just going to go, actually. There's not actually any point in me being here.
Bye, Ben.
So, see you later, guys.
We need you.
Right,
Please
so looks like I'm doing feedback this week. Cool.
Excuse me?
Right, so let's go on to our top 3. So last week we completely forgot that we had to pick one. So I really quickly picked one, and we've got top 3 original soundtracks from video games. And what are our favourite ones? So we're going to kick off with the infamous Daniel.
Hello. My top. Okay, I'm doing it in order this time. This is the first time I've actually listened to the instructions.
Oh,
So
wow.
Makes a
number
change,
3
doesn't it?
is Journey, which I've mentioned before.
Yeah.
And you've played it, Ben.
Yes.
It's just stunning. It fits the game so well. I won't say too much about it because I've already ranted about this game enough. Yeah, it's just absolutely mind-bogglingly beautiful and
Yeah,
fits the journey, so to speak, so well.
Yeah, like I said in the other podcast, it's been my theme on PlayStation 4 for about 3 years, and the music comes on every time I turn it on, and I'm still not sick of it. So it's obviously a very good soundtrack.
This is also kind of bad journalism of me, but I just found out that that game company, the people that make Journey, have another game out, and it's only on iOS. iOS at the moment is coming to Android pretty soon. You can pre-register, and I'm avoiding too much about it because I want to kind of go in blind. But it seems to be very much oriented around playing music
Cool.
in a kind of adventure type game with similar graphical style. It's called Sky or something along those lines, but yeah, it looks really cool. These guys know what they're doing when it comes to audio, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What other? No, don't worry. I was going to say they've done another big game, haven't they?
They did Flower, which was very audio driven. They did Flow, which was also very sound driven, and the other one was Abzu, which was like an underwater sea adventure.
I saw that on Switch. Yeah.
Oh, it's on Switch as well, isn't it? It's worth a try if you haven't already. It's a bit more mellow than Journey.
Yeah,
but
that's what it looks like.
Really, really beautiful.
Right, Mr. Kevin, go. You're number 3.
My
I'm
number
dreading
3
this. I'm absolutely dreading this.
is Binding of Isaac Rebirth.
Oh, thank God for that. Right, cool. There's only 2 left. There's still a chance. But we'll
You
see.
thought he was going to say Guitar Hero, didn't you?
I was expecting something
That
like
went
that.
through my
to be
head.
honest.
That did go through my head, and I was like, oh no.
God.
It's the music suits the type of game it is very well. As in, it's quite immersive, and it adds to kind of like the dark ways that the game is. It adds to its the evil and the sad little kid.
So you know when I was playing, obviously you see me play guitar, Kevin. Did I ever show you the spooky house chord?
I think you must have at one point. I'm pretty sure you have.
The one that just sounds like the noise that happens when you walk into a haunted house. Yeah,
the spooky house
that's
noise.
the
That
sort
one.
of vibe. Say again.
The spooky house noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah, the one that sounds like the noise when you go into a spooky house. That one.
Oh, that one. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
You played that on your guitar, didn't you?
Shut up. Whatever, man. Yes, it sounds like that, and it fits the theme very well. Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
I remember.
So, yeah,
Binding of Isaac had like a it had that spooky kind of melancholy feel, but it also had that driving old school 8-bit type feeling as well. It reminded you of an old SNES game or something. I mean, I've only played like an hour of it maybe, but I do remember that feeling coming through.
Yeah, I get what you mean by that.
Yeah, it definitely fit together very well.
Makes you quite pumped as well, but it keeps the dark ways.
Totally.
The dark ways.
Kevin's
new catchphrase, the dark ways. Cool, alright. So my number 3 is Ni-no-Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
Ooh.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, and for people that know me personally, I have 3 tattoos from the lovely film collection by Studio Ghibli. And Mr. Joe Hisaishi, who is the composer for all of the Ghibli films, is just a master at what he does. And he did the music for Ni-no-Kuni. So it was. Yeah, it's like a co-production Ghibli and.
I knew that the visual art, like the drawing, was done by the Ghibli team, but I didn't know the music was too. That's really awesome.
Yes, and it's just standard, stunning Ghibli music vibes. So yeah, very, very, very good, and I would highly recommend giving it a listen.
For that game.
But it's on Switch now. You have to play it. Man.
I know. I really need to put some time aside and get into that. I've been holding off for too long.
It's such a solid game, man. Like, and the music's just like so epic. Like even when you turn the game on, it just goes do 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 do, and it's just like yeah. It's like it kind of feels like that. That the victory music in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, it has those sort of vibes to it.
Nice,
It's really good.
nice. That's like a classic riff. Nobody can forget that.
Yeah, classic. And cool. Right, go on, Dan. Number 2. Drop a deuce.
What? Please, no, don't use that anymore. I don't like that.
Yeah, you used that one last week. It was a sad moment when you said
Number 2.
that.
Yeah, please stop. So my second one is Near Automata or Near Automata. Have you played it? Any of you? Like,
never heard of it.
No. What? Never heard of it?
it's such an amazing game. I haven't given it nearly enough time. Like, I've only gone through it once, and you can play through this game 4 or 5 times. But we're talking about the music here. So it's very orchestral. It's made by the guy's name slips away, but it's a Japanese composer again. It does kind of feels like it's got Akira vibes in it. My cat's trying to break into my room right now. He's literally pushing a 10-kilo weight to get into the room. So what's so beautiful about it is not only does it tie into the theme of the game really beautifully and the combat and everything else, but there are a lot of scenes in the game that completely shift the type of game that you're playing. So one moment that stands out to me a lot is kind of like a roller coaster scene where you're moving up and down on a roller coaster and all this stuff's happening around you with robots and fight scenes and like a bullet storm, a bullet hell type scenario going on. And the pacing of the orchestral music, and it's like a full-on orchestra, is perfectly synced with the ups and downs of the roller coaster, and it's
cool.
Stunning. Like, it really, really is one of the most impressive audiovisual spectacles.
These Japanese composers, man, you can't beat them.
Yeah,
I actually heard that they produced that music while on a roller coaster.
That's why it feels like it's coming up to it. It's just going up and down.
As it's coming up to a drop, they're like, "Oh my god!"
That's what it feels like. Actually, that's a good way to like visualize it. But that's just one of the scenes, and there's all sorts of different type things going on. There's like creepy moments and fast-paced, crazy moments, and big fight scenes, and really emotional scenes, and the whole experience ties together wonderfully.
I've heard the music's amazing.
Yeah, worth a try, Ben. Yeah, you would definitely.
I'm well up for it. I've been wanting to play it for ages, to be honest. But it's the idea. Everyone that's played it says you have to complete it like at least 5 times or something, and I'm just like,
yeah, I haven't even done that yet. I've really,
man.
I want to get back around to that. I'm planning to do that. Yeah, because
very
every time you play the game, it's completely different.
Yeah, like completely different.
Yeah,
like
it's a whole new game each time you play it.
Yeah,
and it's huge. Like, it's quite impressive.
Yeah, that's the thing that puts me off though, in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, I know it's a big time investment, but I think once you start, you'll not want to leave.
Yeah. All right, go on, Kev. Drop a deuce.
Oh no.
Drop your 8th deuce for the day.
Oh, thank you. My second is, this is one that I'm not sure whether or not it is its own one. You have to let me know. If not, I have a backup for it. Okay.
So you say FIFA. We're done.
Killing Floor 2.
I'm sure it was made for the game. Yeah.
Okay. Then Killing Floor 2. Yeah. So
nice.
I do remember specifically when you said to get the game that you have to listen to the music because the music is just a massive part of the game.
Yeah.
And I 100% agree because if no one knows, Killing Floor 2 is basically about 1 million zombies, and they are zombies, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're not zombies. I mean,
dead things.
Dead things. What are zombies these days? I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, true. Just loads and loads of them, and it's just about killing as many as you can, just going up from level to level. And the music with it is just this death, hardcore, head-banging, chainsaw type music that makes you feel as if you are in that moment slaying them zombies. Like, if you was to have music playing over you, and if you was in that moment, that's the kind of music that would be playing over you.
Exactly, yeah. That's like the perfect encapsulation of it. Like, if you were in that situation, that's the music you'd want. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Killing Floor 2 is my second. It's good.
Cool. Very nice. Good. My number 2 is Persona 5. Can you get away? Or...
I haven't actually played
It actually worked. Yeah, so the soundtrack to Persona 5 is just phenomenal, man. It's, oh my god, I said it again. I haven't said that since week 1, man.
That's a lie. You said it last week as well.
Oh, did I? All right.
Yeah.
That's my word of the week. Why not?
Word of the month.
Word of the month. Yeah, fine. Yeah. So Persona 5. If you haven't seen the intro to Persona 5, watch it. Oh my days, it is so good, man. It's like this weird jazz funk vibe thing going on, and it just fits it so perfectly. It's like, I can't even explain it. Like, you play like these like weird sort of kind of superhero-y people in Japan, and yeah, the music just fits it so perfectly. But at the same time, I could just listen to that music all the time anyway. Like, not just as part of the game, which I think is quite a key sort of thing here.
Totally.
That's when you know it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, for example, I nearly put The Last of Us on my list because of how well it fits the game. But then I listened to the soundtrack at work this week, and I was like, it's kind of boring, really, without the game. It's just a bit, just a bit naff, I guess. But yeah. So yeah, Persona 5. If you haven't heard it, check it out. And I mean, both of you guys, it's like a 1-minute intro. Watch it. It's so good.
I'm assuming the game is worth playing as well. I mean, I've heard great things about it, but
not for you guys. You guys would not like it.
You said that I wouldn't. Hold on, I'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you wouldn't like it because it's like a 120-hour game with lots of filler in it. So it's like, yeah, exactly. So it's like kind of like watching a crap anime, pretty much, but. It's good, don't get me wrong, but there's just so much filler in it. It's ridiculous. It's
got a cult following, that game. It's got so many people just going crazy about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is very good, but you kind of want to watch it on like 2 times speed. If that makes sense. It just drags a little bit. Cool, alright. Dan, your number 1.
My number 1 soundtrack of all time. When I said this... Okay, so my number 1 soundtrack of all time is Doom. From the 2016 version of Doom, composed by Mick Gordon. I mean, need I say more? It's just so face-meltingly good. Like the riffs and the bass and the synthesis in it. You know, we keep saying it fits the game so well, but the music picks you up and just carries you forwards. And the whole game is one of the few shooters, I think, where it encourages you at every corner to charge headlong into your enemies. There's no like hiding around the corner and ducking behind cover. It's you keep moving forwards and you tear things apart, and the music just fits so perfectly. And I think there was a famous quote in the production of the soundtrack. One of the producers of the game said to Mick Gordon, you can't use that guitar or something. And what he did is he went back to one of the original Doom games, took the chainsaw sound effect and literally turned that into like a synth noise and used it in a lot of sounds. And if you're into like metal, industrial type stuff, you could sit and listen to this all day, and I have done on many occasions. And it was quite funny. We'll kind of get around to it in a minute, but I think you were almost surprised that I would like this soundtrack, Ben, until I forced you to go and listen to it, and you went, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's up your street."
Yeah. I mean, in my head it was screamo music. Yeah, like
there's no vocals at all. It's just pure. Man.
Yeah, and then I went off and listened to it because you kept saying like, "No, it's so good. What are you talking about?" And I was like, "But you don't listen to screamo music. What are you talking about?" And then I went and listened to it, and I was like, "Oh, it's this sort of music. Yeah, this is yeah."
It's like it's the perfect combination of electronic and just industrial heavy metal, really.
Yeah.
and if anybody hasn't listened to it and you're into that kind of stuff, I mean, most people that listen to this podcast that are gamers have probably played Doom, but it's totally worth it. And I keep saying this, it's worth it for the transition between the first two songs. And it's like that throughout the entire game. It's so seamless and so... Oh, it makes me want to kind of just scream and shoot something in the face with a shotgun, and that's perfect. That's exactly what the soundtrack is supposed to do.
It creates the perfect vibe, that's for sure.
Yeah. So Doom is my number one soundtrack of all time.
Good.
Decent.
All right, go on, Kev.
This is probably one that will be on a lot of people's lists that are very much like me, who don't play the small little indie games you guys do, but Halo.
Oh yeah, should we do a rendition of the vocal part now?
Yeah, who's baritone? Who's low?
Kevin, definitely.
Go on. All right, let's go.
Are we actually doing this? And that's enough.
We'll put that down to a desynchronization in Skype.
Do you know why that's enough? Because everyone's good. After hearing that, everyone's going to want to be like, "Oh my god, that sounds amazing."
Yeah,
we need to get up to it now. So, as you guys heard, I don't need to say anything else about it. That's how good it was.
Yeah,
it will definitely go down in history as one of the best.
I mean,
not
it
only that was the
quite
best
as
rendition
good as
of
that,
it, but one of the best soundtracks.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the menu, the title screen music is enough in itself. Like the whole soundtrack's really good as well.
Yeah,
but just when you open up that game for the first time and that music comes on, and you're just like, oh man, it's so good.
But you can actually imagine it being sung by a really, really good orchestra in like a cathedral or something. It's got that acoustic space to it. That particular sound.
Ooh, voice crack.
Anyway.
I could also imagine like when someone stubs their like little toe on something, and when they get taken off to heaven because of the worst pain or other thing in your life. That's the soundtrack that will take you up to heaven.
The soundtrack to Ascension.
Because everyone knows your pain and your feels.
Is that the music that's playing at your funeral, Kev? Yeah.
Is that? Well, I'm not going to die to a stubbed toe, so no.
Alright, cool. My top one, I've raved about it already, so I'm not going to talk about it very much, but Ori and the Blind Forest.
Nice.
By far.
But, you guys, as you know, you can check out the deaf version.
Ori and the Blind Forest.
If you're not a fan of music, don't worry, they've released a version for deaf people, it's fine, don't worry. Such an idiot, man. So Ori and the Blind Forest soundtrack is the best soundtrack. Doom, 9 out of 10. Halo, 8.9 out of 10. Ori and the Blind Forest, 11 out of 10. So, it's by far the best. I have nothing else to say about it.
That game is, the more you talk about it, the more it is creeping up my next game playlist.
Man. I know you've been playing the one of the two this week, so this is the other one. There were three. There was like the holy trinity of games that I gave you to play, and you've started one, nearly completed one, and you've got to move on to that one in a sec.
Yeah, it's up there. Can I just say, like, with this stripping it down to top 3, it was really hard. Me personally, there was at least 3 other games that I kind of wish I could have included, but I am happy with what I ended up with. But there are so many good soundtracks out there, and there are so many games that just capture... I think we need to remember that games are not just about graphics, they are audio-visual experiences a lot of the time, particularly with these narrative-based
Unless
games.
you buy the deaf version, yeah.
Unless you buy Ori and the Death Forest, yeah.
This is one of them ones where I could have my little rant about it, because the reason I wasn't a fan of this is it's a whole different thing.
I swear, Kevin, you talk about...
You know, let's not go into it now because it's just one of them things.
No, go on, Kev. You wanted your ranting podcast. Go.
Okay. Playing games nowadays, competitive games, I'm much of a competitive type gamer, okay? So when it comes to multiplayer online things, sound and noise has become such an important part of it that, in my opinion, I don't like. I don't like that in shooting games you need to be able to listen for footsteps and guns, bullets and stuff, where they're all coming from. Games like League of Legends and Overwatch, when you hear a certain someone using an ability, a certain noise will come, like your character will say a certain thing, or a certain noise will happen when they use that ability, indicating that that ability is being used. And I just remember way back when, just being able to play my games competitively, listen to music, which is one of the reasons I love FIFA, because you don't usually sound. Anyway. And it's, in my opinion, although I understand it adds another element of skill and whatnot to a game, I think it's put a bad taste in my mouth, because I just think...
Okay, let me rephrase that for everyone out there. Kevin wants to be able to listen to music whilst playing games, and because he can't do that, he has a temper tantrum.
So, us three tried to play... I mean, me and you played Siege a little bit. Obviously, Siege is one of the games that relies really, really heavily on sound cues. You know, every footstep is really important. And I think Kevin joined us a few months back for the first time.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the first things that Kevin said was it would be nice if I could play music whilst playing this game. But for some games that would never work. You would never be able to have a tactical shooter whilst playing music.
Back in the day, you could.
They weren't tactical shooters.
I mean, you've got to imagine when you're playing something that's supposed to be as immersive and realistic as, for example, Rainbow Six Siege, you're supposed to be immersing yourself in the game as a special operator. You're supposed to be, an SAS agent or whatever. So I don't imagine that people in the SAS and people in, special forces stick their AirPods in and listen to Bon Jovi whilst they're raiding the Israeli embassy,
But why? It's only become a thing nowadays because headsets have become such a bigger thing.
Kevin,
ages
wrong.
ago, honestly, ages ago, that type of thing. It only started coming about when Turtle Beaches started becoming a massive thing, and everyone was buying them.
Kev,
those
you're
things,
wrong.
and it's just when it just became a thing, and in every single game you play, it comes in it. And I used to listen to so much music, and it was so good because I could just sit there playing my games, listen to music, and now just every game I have to play, I have to sit there, listen to all the little footsteps. I'm playing Apex Legends. It would be so good if I could listen to my own music playing that, but because footsteps and bullets and where they're coming from are so important, you just can't do that, because otherwise you have a massive tactical disadvantage against everyone else.
But that's just because games are getting more complicated and they're evolving.
They're just better. Games are just better now than they used to be.
It's also pay to win in a way as well, because if you've got a better headset,
you've got
a much bigger tactical advantage.
No, that's not the case
Bam.
at all.
Kevin,
you're comparing Turtle Beaches, right? Which Turtle Beaches were nothing special. They were crap, right? You're comparing people playing with headphones to people playing through TV speakers. That's the only thing you're comparing. That's not pay to win. I guess technically it is, but you could literally put a £10 headset on and you would still be able to hear the same quality that you could Turtle Beaches. It's got nothing to do with people being like, a better headset does it. I have a Corsair headset and you have a cheap Korean one probably. But
what are you saying?
But it makes no difference. All that matters is that audio cues are a thing in a game now. It's got nothing to do with what quality headset you have.
And there are still old school competitive shooters out there. You can still play Quake Champions, and you can still play. I mean, the new Doom game's going to have multiplayer elements to it as well. I mean, the Doom soundtrack is awesome. I don't know why you want to replace it with any other music, but you could. Yeah. It's just the games that you're talking about are probably things like Halo and the old school Call of Duties, where it was literally just run around and shoot a moving target.
They're arcade shooters, yeah.
Arcade shooters, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we're referring to here. And arcade shooters are still a thing, they're just not as popular anymore. And that's why we don't see that many games coming out in that style.
Either way, you know what? I've come to understand and accept this situation. It's just something that
clearly not.
Sound like you've accepted it, Kev.
No,
I've heard this rant at least 3 times. Okay,
I do it myself. I've accepted it because I do it myself. If I didn't accept it, then I'd outright refuse to do it. But I've accepted it because unfortunately, my competitive side beats anything else in my life because I thrive on competition. But let's just leave this for now. I want to make a massive shout out to Mario soundtrack because that was epic. Anyway.
What? The structure is just out the window, man. Remember that time we were like, right, we're going to do this, right, all in this order, and now we've got Kevin's rant section has just managed to infiltrate somehow, and he's just added a number 4 to his top 3. Cool, all right. Great, thank you for that.
Do you want to, everyone, done?
Yeah, let's roll into feedback. And I'm watching you, Kevin. I'm making sure you ain't skipping out any stuff.
Feedback has been good this week.
Yeah.
We've had 3 posts on our Facebook community, which, if you haven't yet, go visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/praisethepickle. Or, if you're not a Facebook person, at praisethepickle on Twitter. Or, as we have this week again, we've had 3 emails. You can email us at praisethepicklepodcast@gmail.com. If any of you people out there are worrying if you need to have a Twitter account to email you, you don't. Someone asked me that the other day, whether you need a Twitter account to send an email. was one of their moments I had to facepalm. But in the end, they got their question to us, so there's that.
We won't tell you which one it is, though. So
let's not tell you that one. Our Facebook feedbacks, and they were very much to do with our the favourite soundtracks. And we had Vicky, who has been spoken about before. She said the Goat Simulator soundtrack, which apparently is actually very, very
amazing.
Good. Which
it's so good. It captures the weirdness of the game perfectly. Like, it's 10 minutes long. Go listen to it. It will make your day.
Is it just a 10-minute loop?
I think so. Maybe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. It's brilliant. Ben, you'll like it.
I need to find the 10-hour endurance version of that and just listen to it.
Goat Simulator soundtrack endurance version. It's really cool. That suggestion really made me laugh, and it made me go and listen to it, and it gave me nostalgia.
Perfect.
Solid game, man.
And then I think I'm going to leave Jake's one to the end just because it's funny. Callum
What's it?
said FIFA, which was obviously a big controversial situation because
it's no controversy.
Oh yeah, okay. So obviously it was
category.
meant to be an original soundtrack. Obviously FIFA and like other games like Guitar Hero or GTA, they're all songs that have been other people have had and they've just taken them and added it to their game. So it's not an original soundtrack. Although I will agree, FIFA 6 had probably one of the best.
No, this is not a chance for you to get your FIFA love out. Just move on. Doesn't fit the category. Okay. When
sorry,
we do
Callum, Daniel and Ben don't like you.
We can do that.
More
Callum,
Ben.
we love you. We love you. It's fine. To be fair, I didn't put original in the question, so it's fine.
You did, yeah, that's true.
But,
and then Jake said Doom Eternal soundtrack, which according to Dan isn't even out yet. So well done, Jake, for managing to get hold of that before anyone else.
This really triggered me because I've just said that the Doom soundtrack was my favourite soundtrack of all time, and I heard some of the new Doom soundtrack in the trailer, so like 3 minutes of it. And when I saw that comment, I was like, "What is out? Like, where can I find this?" And I was looking everywhere for it. So unless you know something that I don't, Jake, I don't think it's out yet, or at least it wasn't at the time of your comment.
Unless he's talking about that 3-minute song.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome, and it works in the trailer really well, and it made me even more excited for the actual soundtrack. But I don't know if that counts.
I'm on your side, Jake. All right, don't listen to these two bozos here. When you go on Spotify and you Doom Eternal soundtrack does come up, but it's just the music from the first game. So unless you went on that and thought that was the second one.
If that's the case, then you have amazing taste, Jake, because that playlist, because I looked on that as well, and that playlist, it is the Doom soundtrack from the first game with a load of other stuff added in, which fits the Doom theme quite well.
Dan, no, you just shot him down. Stop trying to.
If that's what he thought was the Doom Eternal soundtrack, then amazing. I completely agree with you. It wasn't Doom Eternal, but it's an amazing soundtrack, and you have good taste.
There you go.
I just think you're a bit confused, Jake. But thank you for But thank you for the comment.
Jake, we love you. Vicky, we love you. And Callum, we kind of love you. Cool, yeah.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you for those that respond on Facebook.
Yeah.
Keep throwing out random questions. Just keep responding. Keep the content coming, boys.
The more
and
responses,
girls.
the better.
Yeah.
And then, so we have our first email, which is from my lovely little pickler. It says, "Hi Pickles, really enjoy listening to the podcast, but can get a bit lost when you use a term I do not understand. I am new to the gaming world, and whilst most of your listeners probably understand everything you're talking about, I don't. During your ramblings, if you
We don't ramble, alright.
Yeah, that is very true. That
It's
bit
solid.
you can keep to yourself.
Yeah.
If you use a technical term, could you briefly, and I do mean briefly, explain it? I can't give you an example as it's hard remembering a word you don't understand. I'll try it to make a note next time. Other than that, I think it's great, especially when you forget that you are being recorded and chat normally. Thanks, a happy pickler. See, we got a happy pickler.
Yeah.
Yes.
Happy pickle.
One pickler.
Yes. Woo! Only one happy pickler. The rest of them are just average.
Yeah, the rest of them are mediocre.
Dan, you were saying anyway. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. This isn't the only person that is I think it's fair to say a non-gamer that listens to the podcast. There is somebody else, without singling people out at all, that maybe used to be into games and play games back in the day and has just sort of recently started to get back into it. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll try our best to clarify or at least describe the things that we're talking about a little bit better. Obviously, we can only go so far with describing certain terms because the majority of our audience will be gamers. So we don't want to over-explain anything too much. But that's an amazing email. Thank you so much for that. And we will try to elaborate a bit more where we can.
Yeah, definitely. I think just as a little field test, Kevin.
Me.
What's a Metroidvania?
It's a they have it in America when they go underground in.
All right, so there's a perfect example. Okay, someone on the podcast doesn't even know a very commonly used gaming word. So
What is it?
But Kevin, that's a Metro.
Yeah, I know.
yeah, no, he's being an idiot. Don't acknowledge that, Dan. Jesus.
Sorry.
Yeah, I won't explain what it is, but yeah, that's just an example. So yeah, you happy pickler, you are right, and we will explain those sorts of terms. Obviously, we're not going to explain what things like first and third person are, things like that.
Yeah.
But you know, especially lots of game almost genres in themselves have really weird terms these days that even people that do play games like Kevin don't know. So we will do our best to sort of
And it's always changing as well. Like the new obvious one is Souls-like, and that only came about because of Dark Souls, which is only a few years old. So it does constantly change. But we'll try and keep you up to date.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you very much.
Yes,
Next one, Kev.
The next one is probably the best one we've got. Actually, no, I can't say the best one we've got. It's one that I thoroughly enjoyed.
No,
So,
it's
hello.
crap, this one.
I work with Benjamin, so this is a colleague of Ben, and I'm deeply offended by his lack of knowledge when it comes to football. If I hear him tell one more time that Man United are in Division 1 and not in the Premier League, I might have to get him sacked at work. So she stated this is how it goes: Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, etc, etc.
All right. So which one of those is Division 1?
None of them. But in the system that they use on clubs in FIFA, the top one is Division
Premier
1.
League. Are Man United in the Premier League?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Just clarifying again that I was right, because you said you beat Division 1 in FIFA, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said that, and then I said, Division 1 where Man United are? And then you went, I'm just going to stop talking. And but it turns out Man United would be.
Okay, but I said that because I thought you were deliberately being an idiot. I didn't actually realise.
No, hold on. I'm not being an idiot. That's the truth, right?
I mean,
no, they wouldn't, because they're not really related in that way.
I'm not really a football fan, so I don't know much about it. But from what I understand, I think one way of putting it is that Premier League is the first division. It consists of one division of teams. and the second division is what is it? Champions League or Championship, and so on and so forth. And then I think when you get down to lower leagues, there are like 2 or 3 divisions per league and stuff like that. But...
Yeah, so that's fine. So so riddle me this then, Dan. Which division is Man United in?
They're in the Premier League.
Which division? Because you've just said that the Premier League is one division.
But that's almost saying that Man United are in Division 1, but also the best team in, is it the Harlequins, I think they are, in rugby, would be in, that might have really offended a lot of rugby fans out there, were in Division 1 as well.
Oh God, I really hope Emily doesn't watch rugby as well.
I don't think
going to tell you a new one, man.
Quite a bit, so...
I might have completely confused things there. I don't know if I made any sense. But
it's something... I don't know. They don't really relate, but you can relate them.
Basically, Ben, you're getting fired on Monday.
Yeah.
No.
So thank you, Emily.
No,
Ben will be without a job.
I stand by it. Man United are in Division 1.
You're definitely getting fired on Monday.
Can we move on to the...
Let's move on to my favourite email.
Thank you for that email, Emily.
Yeah, your favourite email, which is probably my...
No, Emily, go screw yourself.
Email that is, it's something that... It basically corrects me from last week about my Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2 situation. And if anything, it was a nice enlightenment to actually what it was. And it almost agrees with what I said, because I said about not reading the books. But I'll give you the email we got. And this was from the Jingle Man himself.
Yeah.
Adam. So thank you, Adam. We love you.
Thank you.
This is another great episode, boys. Still loving the intro jingle. This is a bit of a mouthy one, so but Ben wants me to read it all, so we'll go for it. I was surprised by Kevin's disappointment with Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 2, as I thought it was a massive improvement on the first game, as it had better gameplay, unit variety, more factions, and more interesting campaign. In regards to not knowing the heroes, I went back and had a look at the faction roster, and only faction was made up heroes was the goblins. Every other character was established character in Lord of the Rings, but I admit there were some that were in the book only, so I can blame Kevin for not knowing them. I think I know what he meant by the troll Jar Jar creature.
That monstrosity. Yeah.
I love how we actually went to look at the character models and try and establish which one you were talking about.
Well, yeah.
You sent a picture of the characters from the game to.
Yeah. And can we just say it looks nothing like Jar Jar Binks?
I don't know why I had it in my head. It just
honestly, not even close. Like, I do not understand where you got that from.
He thinks it was a mountain giant unit that goblins have. Which isn't a new thing, as I mentioned in the Hobbit book, but I will admit their appearance is a bit random. I know you joked about Randolph the Blue, but there's actually 2 blue wizards, but are never officially mentioned in the books. I kind of misunderstand. Understand Kevin meant it didn't feel like a Lord of the Rings game because it doesn't focus on the events of the film. The campaign instead runs parallel to the films and focuses on what the other races, elves, dwarves, were doing towards the war effort. For me, this was exciting because more stories set in Middle-earth is always exciting for me, whereas I think Kevin was expecting more of a familiar story. I get where Kevin is coming from, but I feel that because they did the main story for the campaign of the first game, they then had to do something different, otherwise there would be a little point in making the second game.
Yeah.
Really
good
points. They are very...
Do you guys remember the PlayStation 2 Lord of the Rings games which came out?
Oh, that was so good.
They were amazing.
I don't know about that, but yeah.
They were. I'm sorry, they were. They were incredible.
What, you mean that the 3D like Dynasty Warriors ones, yeah?
Kind of. Yeah, they were
third person.
And actually, Lord of the Rings games, you could play as Legolas and Gandalf and like actually fight in Helm's Deep.
Level them up and stuff. I remember that.
The events of the story. They were brilliant. They were so much fun.
They were so good.
Like, I think what he's saying makes a lot of sense, because if you look at those games back then, the Battle of Middle-earth 1, compared to the games now as they've developed, like look at Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor, or whatever they're called, and the more recent Lord of the Rings games, like we know some of the characters and there's a few references, but I think it's just this vast expansion of the Lord of the Rings universe. I mean, we know there's more books, right? There's the Silmarillion and the Hobbit.
Yeah, Charlotte reads them, and I've got one. So they've got the Lord of the Rings. They're next to me at the moment. I've got the Children of Hern, Beren and Luthien. The story of Kullervo, the Silmarillion, and Unfinished Tales.
So it's a huge universe, like a massively established basis of lore. I think interesting fact. I don't know if this is true. I think it's true. He developed the language of the elves before he wrote any of the book at all, and developing the language is what kind of helped him envision the race and the world, and he used that as a foundation, which I thought is kind of interesting.
Yeah, but it's not in the films, so it makes
Oh my
stupid
God.
Jar Jar Binks troll. Literature.
To be honest, if you were a person who has only just seen the films, which I'm assuming there's a lot of people out there, other people that have read the book, and he seems to have read more than just a book, like you've just said. So he has a very deep understanding of the games. So for him, I can imagine it being amazing, because just almost seeing all these characters put into a character perspective, actually seeing them in a game is quite cool. For me, it was a Jar Jar Binks mountain troll giant lookalike thing. I can't actually remember what it looked like at the time, which is why I guess I don't know why Jar Jar Binks came to my head. Maybe it's just always on something. He's always in my head, so
memory is a fickle thing.
Oh, it's apparently
there's a reason that eyewitness testimonies are flaky at best.
Yeah, so Kevin is wrong. Cool, thank you for that, Adam. It's always nice to hear that Kevin's wrong all the time. God, do you want to go on to his
next bit?
Breeze through the next bit. We don't have to read everything out.
Yeah. So he said about in his first bit about playing a lot of strategy games, but he does agree that they are quite time consuming. And he agrees that even more now that he has a full-time job. He did also mention a game called Northgard, which is apparently a very small indie strategy game, which is much simpler and much quicker. So
yeah, it's on Switch. I'm tempted to get it.
Yeah,
it's quite expensive at the minute though, but I might give it a go. Dan, you played a demo for it, didn't you?
No, I thought that's what he was talking about as well.
I'm thinking of something different.
Yeah, you are. Because I looked this up. The game that I can't remember the game that I played. The game that we're thinking of is like a little island and a couple of boats.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Viking type game. No, the one he's talking about.
This is not the game I'm thinking of.
No, it looks like a proper RTS type thing.
Cool.
Yeah, it looks kind of cool, but you're right, it is a bit expensive right now. But
it's on Steam. It's like £10.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, I'll give that a go.
Sweet, thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, thank you.
So the bit we've got next. It's just disappeared. He's listed his top 5 soundtracks himself.
Go from 5.
Well, okay, we'll go from 5. Hotline Miami 2, which I do agree. I thought it was a pretty good soundtrack. It was funky,
yeah.
And it did fit with the game as well. That kind of nightlife type gangstery vibe.
Yeah, awesome.
Bloodborne, which I think, me and Ben could probably both. Have you played that, Dan?
No.
The first hour or two. I was talking to Ben about this earlier actually, and yeah, it's on my list. I just haven't had the time to dedicate.
I do have a question though. Sorry, before you can probably guess what his number 3 is now. But what Adam? What is a gothic choral music?
That's a question for you to answer for us next week.
Yeah, dramatic gothic choral music.
What you say? Yeah.
I'm
can imagine I'm
going to assume it's a typo, but I don't know.
Is choral like a version of like chorus driven? I don't know actually, but it sounds like the word chorus. I guess it's like
choral.
I don't know. A good question.
Oh look, it's come up when you type in choral music. It comes up. It is.
Why you got to ruin it for Adam now?
He's expanding our vocabulary. This is very helpful.
Oh, is it choir?
Right, yeah, that's what I imagined it to be, yeah.
Yeah. Alright, cool. Yeah. Sorry.
So his number 3 is Witcher 3, which I guess only Dan? Have you played it, Ben?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, both you guys would understand the
Yeah.
The Slavic themed music. As he mentions.
I hope Adam remembers the Priscilla's song that I mentioned in my favourite gaming moments. I'm sure he does. But yeah, Witcher 3 almost made it to my list. It was very, very close.
Yeah, it's good.
Persona 5? You mentioned that, didn't you?
Yeah.
And he says it has an opposite vibe to his number one being Doom, which is obviously Dan.
Oh, and Kevin, your one's got a mention. Look at the second sentence. Killing Floor 2.
Oh, there you go. Hey.
Oh damn! I didn't read that earlier. Awesome.
Hey, we smashed it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we made Adam happy.
That's not bad, is it? I like the fact that he's managed to mention all of that. Which is pretty decent.
Yeah.
And he also does have an honorable mention, like I did with Mario. Nier Automata. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm guessing all the people out there would love that for my.
Kevin, you know that was one of Dan's games, yeah?
Yeah, but I just forgot how it was said.
Some people say
Yeah,
automata. Some people say
automata.
automata. I think it's automata, but yeah, he understands.
Yeah, everyone says it different. Yeah, and God of War, which is just epic.
I need to check that song out that he linked. Actually, I haven't got around to that yet.
Yeah, he's also got a question.
Yeah, it is a bit of a random question, as he says, but there have been a few video game films, and most have been awful. So I was wondering what you think the next video game film will be, and also what game do you think would make the best film TV adaptation? No picking Last of Us, as I feel a lot of people would go to answer.
I'm taking this one first.
Cool.
First of all, Adam, you're wrong. Okay. Mortal Kombat film, the first one.
Yes.
Epic. Just amazing. The CGI on Goro is just phenomenal. I said it again. And also Doom. If you haven't seen the Doom film,
I was going to say that.
It's horrendous, but in the right way.
It's so
and
so
also
bad.
no, hold on, I'm not finished. All right. Resident Evil is the best film series ever. Okay, there's like 7 of them, and they get more and more ridiculous as they go along.
Yeah.
And mate, just you're wrong. Okay. And
Wait, what came first? The film or the game?
Oh, the game.
The game.
Oh.
Significantly first. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
But in response to your thing, I think for a good film TV adaptation, there is a new Resident Evil TV series coming to Netflix at some point.
I didn't know that.
Which I'm curious about. It's never going to be as good as the film series, obviously, because that's just amazing. But I don't really know for film adaptation.
Yeah,
I feel like a film adaptation of Ni no Kuni would be good, but I don't know if that's what you're asking, because I mean that would be animated Ghibli style.
Just stitch all the cutscenes together and that would be it, right?
There's not that many, to be honest. So but the story in it is amazing, and that as a film would be like one of Ghibli's best, probably, to be honest. So
how amazing would this have been as a top 3?
Yeah, this would have been. Oh, should we? Oh, this make it our top 3 for next week.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Let's do it. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Adam will address your question next week.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Yeah,
awesome. We were I was actually struggling because I think it was supposed to be my turn to pick the top.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of one yet, so thanks for saving me, Adam.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. We'll talk about it next week. You've already got my. I won't do Ni no Kuni as one of mine because that's.
I just want to go back quickly to something that you just said, Ben. Obviously, the Resident Evil, there were some hilarious scenes in it, but the Doom film was kind of one that slipped under the radar because it was awful. The last line in the film is literally, "It's time to go home." And then they just kind of walk off into the sunset. But just before that, there is one scene in that movie which is...
Oh, you're not going to talk about the first person scene,
it's so cool.
No, it's not.
It's
Dan.
so cool.
Dan, when was the last time you watched it?
Long time ago.
Yeah, watch it. Honestly, no, that's your homework for this week. Watch it again, because I watched it at yours, right? I can't remember when I was in the... I think it was before I got married, in like April or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I watched it in the living room. It is horrendous, man.
I'm sure it is.
It's so bad. No, but even that bit, the whole thing is just atrocious.
Oh, I know.
It's a terrible film.
But you gotta appreciate the memory associated with that. Like seeing when you first saw it when you were a kid, and you're like, oh, it's so cool. It's just like the game.
Just like
HD.
the games.
And also a shout out there as well to a movie called Hardcore Henry. Have you guys seen that?
Never seen the movie.
I think it's called Hardcore Henry. I'm pretty
I've heard of it,
the whole movie is filmed like basically from GoPro perspective, like a first-person combat game, and
It looks terrible.
It's so bizarre, but it's actually kind of good. Like it's really weird, but it is actually
I
kind of
don't
good.
believe that. It looks terrible, man.
I just caught it on TV once. It was pretty dope. Anyway, this is a gaming podcast, not a movie podcast.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Let's move on.
Cool. All right. So you're done with feedback, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Do you want to say thank you, or do you want me to?
Oh well, yeah. Well, of course we're thankful. They should know that. Jeez.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. We do really appreciate feedback.
Yeah, keep it coming.
Random things like that from Adam as well. Just random questions is always good. It helps us think of random things as well, instead of us just leading the show all the time. We want you guys to sort of dictate where it goes a little bit, so that'll be good.
Do all the heavy lifting.
Do all the heavy lifting so we don't have to think. Yeah. That would be the ideal situation. Right, so on to Mr. Daniel with the news. Go.
Okay. I've actually got it printed today, so if you hear me turning like bits of paper...
Oh my god.
You know what else we need?
recycled
We need like a little introduction that goes do Dan with
I
the
was
news.
thinking that. I was going
And
to
then
do
like
that.
he hits his paper on the desk, and it's like this week in the
The
news.
camera slowly zooms in, and I'm like, I look up at the camera, globe in the background,
That has to be like really overly dramatic.
and a
as well.
ticker across the bottom with like breaking news.
Yeah. Dan, make it happen. Dan, make it happen.
But there's no video. How would that even work?
Make it into sound.
Make the jingle. Make the jingle.
Oh, okay.
Do the
Alright, fine,
definition.
whatever.
The
Oh,
blind
by the way,
edition.
Adam, you might, if you're listening to this, Adam, you might like this. When you mentioned that we should do a jingle and we did that weird vocal thing, the jingle is entirely made up of us making noises. Like every drum beat and everything is a sample of our voices, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, onto the news. So I don't have this in order, but I have a rough idea of how I'm going to go through it. So do you guys remember a game by Rockstar called Bully?
Yes.
Yes.
It was one of those games that kind of did okay, but as time went on, people gravitated towards it and started to love it, and it got this huge cult following. And people have been crying out for a sequel for a long time. It turns out that there was indeed a sequel in development. Bully 2 was out. There was even a playable version of it, which some people got a chance to play, and it's now been scrapped. Which people are going to be really sad about.
What's the reaction to that? Just
It was just like there was so much build up to it, and it's like, and it was terrible.
It was built using the Rage engine as well, which is what they made GTA and Red Dead Redemption RDR2 in. So yeah, loads of people are going to be gutted about that. Sorry, guys. There's always a chance they'll come back to it, but you know.
I mean, there's heavy rumours that they've sort of scrapped it to put more focus on GTA 6, but you know what media's like. That's probably just speculation.
Just speculation, I think. Yeah. Another little bit of news that people are going to be sad about. I'm a little bit sad about this, but Doom Eternal, which was set for release, I think on the 15th of November or something, has been delayed until
The soundtrack hasn't, no?
The soundtrack's out already, so it's fine.
Yeah, but if you want to listen to the soundtrack, just hit Jake up on Facebook. He'll sort you out. Don't worry.
It's got the link.
Sorry, Jake. We love you.
It's been delayed until March, which is obviously a little bit upsetting for a lot of people. They have promised that there's going to be some cool new content coming. Some of it slightly after launch, some of it with launch. One of those things is the invasion mode, which actually sounds kind of cool. It allows you to go online and invade, kind of Dark Souls-esque, go online and invade somebody else's game as a demon. So you kind of jump in and spawn in and cause them some grief.
It's a gimmick, man.
Yeah, it's a gimmick, but it's coming out as a
Gimmick.
free update just after launch. It's free, you know. It's, you know, can't
Yeah,
complain
but you know
about
they could get all those people out of making that gimmicky rubbish and stick them on the actual game, and then they could have released it on time.
Maybe. I must say as well, one of the developers, I forgot to write her name down, put a comment on Twitter.
Steve.
Her name is Steve. Yes. She put a little thing out on Twitter the other day saying, basically pointing to how kind the internet has been in regards to this delay, which I think says quite a lot about how much people respect.
Well, I sound like an arsehole now.
This franchise.
You leave Steve alone.
And she basically said that it's encouraged them to work really, really hard, and they're sorry, and thank you everybody for being so understanding. So, gaming community, you rise up. Well done for, not being toxic for a change.
It makes a nice change,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
But yeah, it shows how much people really appreciated the first Doom for being like a complete game, like an actual finished product that was polished and fun, and
It was
everything that a
so
game should
polished,
be.
yeah.
So March 2020 for that one.
And it's later for the Switch as well. Not
Yes,
that people
good
should
point.
be buying it on the Switch. But...
No, you should not get it on the Switch. If you're going to experience it for the first time, get it on play it in high res, please.
Yeah. It looks stunning. Like, even the first one still now looks stunning. I can't imagine what this one's going to look like.
It's the
You don't
game to
want that on the
benchmark
Switch.
your computer with, without a doubt.
Yeah,
It's so
definitely.
well optimized, and it looks gorgeous. Okay, so the creators of Fortnite are being sued because apparently they designed their game on purpose to be addictive. Like, as if no game developer does that. Like, that's such a weird thing. Like, have you guys played mobile games? Games are generally designed to be addictive. But what I love is the Canadian lawsuit, which seeks to be class action, reportedly likens the gameplay to taking cocaine.
Yeah, I saw
That-
that.
That is literally the words of someone that doesn't play games. You know what I mean? They're just like, this guy looks like he's on crack while he's playing. It's just, I know, he's just hyped, man. Allow it. Oh man.
Yeah, and here's another quote as well. The addiction to the Fortnite game, the Fortnite game,
Oh no, this is
has
bad.
real consequences for the lives of players. Several don't eat or shower and no longer socialize. That's it.
That is the words of someone that's getting paid a lot of money to do this, man.
Yeah,
That is like someone clutching at straws, you know. But I get it. I understand. You know, if they were going after loot boxes, I'm fully on board, man. Hit me up. I can be your news source for it. But you can't just say games are addictive. I think your friend Dan
Steve?
Steve, yeah. Tom, he posted on Facebook earlier to a Unilad article, I think it was, and he was just like, "Oh, okay, cool, yeah. So while you're at it, why don't you sue McDonald's, sue Coca-Cola, sue?" Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, you can't just sue anything that is addictive, because that is a big part of
continuously
that
selling
business.
a product. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of the selling point of it. You know?
I read somewhere that it was saying about. I'm not sure if you actually said this. I could become an idiot, but that it releases the same toxins in your body as cocaine does.
What,
to make
dopamine?
Yeah. So
Right.
playing games and stuff being like.
That is just the biggest load of bollocks.
Yeah,
ever,
that's
man.
what I read. That's what I thought you were going to say. That's the bit I read about.
No. It's the biggest load of bollocks because dopamine is the happy hormone. That's all it is. So you that goes across the board on
Playing games is
anything that
happy.
makes you happy. Literally anything that makes you happy, right? Sex, chocolate, Coke, McDonald's. I'm just listing food now.
FIFA.
Games, videos, whatever. All of those things release dopamine. That's what it is. You can't just say it releases the same chemicals as cocaine. Like what? What sort of bollocks is that? Yeah.
Yeah, and also like with video game design in particular, successful games are designed in a way that keeps you engaged for a long period of time. Like, if you pick up a game and it gets boring after an hour and you don't want to play it again, who's going to buy it in the first place? Like,
Well, exactly. Yeah.
especially when
It's got
lots
cocaine.
of these games are narrative driven and they're like 8 hours, 10 hours long. If the game's not in some way gripping you and holding on to you and keeping you going, and the flow of the game and the progression of it isn't, consistent, then what is it? Who's ever going to see the ending? Like, it needs to happen. It just does.
Yeah. No, I know it's ridiculous.
I reckon it's just a lot of mothers just being pissed off that their kids are playing games.
Pretty much.
It's interesting that they've gone for the biggest game as well. It's not like they've gone for some
Oh, of course, yeah.
loot box driven.
No, I mean, to be fair, the kids are into Fortnite, so that's all they're going to see, isn't it? They're just going to be like, Fortnite is
Look what it's
And
doing
it's
to
hitting
the
shops and
children.
stuff as
Look what
well.
it's
It's like
think of the
Primark.
children.
Primark sell stuff from Fortnite. Like, of course, people like mums and parents are just going to see this thing because it is everywhere. So
yeah,
it's
whatever the
becoming a big
biggest game
issue.
is, that they have a big target on their heads because that they become the focus of every single mum, basically. It sounds stupid, but every mum that doesn't understand it. And to be honest, in I know it's not. I'm not a parent, so I can't really justify this. But like, I think it comes more down to your parenting than
Oh,
what's
100%.
happening to the kid. It's kind of like you can't just be like, he's on it for 12 hours a day. What's he gonna do if you take away his Xbox from him? Shoot you? Like what? Do you know what I mean? Like cry? So what? Reward, benefits and stuff. You go and do your chores. You can play it for 2 hours. There's the family parental locks on things nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no excuse for it. You're just not a very good parent.
Wow,
You can't
that
just
is
be like
fire.
no, but you can't just be like, oh, there's this. My kid is getting really addicted to this game, so I'm going to sue the company for making them addicted to the game instead of just trying to parent them. Like what? What? It's just stupid. It makes no sense. There's only two logical explanations: either you're a rubbish parent, or you just want money. Either way, you look like an idiot. So there you go. Next news story.
Well, thankfully, although kids are getting addicted to Fortnite like they're getting addicted to cocaine, the NHS is responding in kind by opening its first game addiction clinic.
Oh, God help the Lord.
The Gambling Commission report found that 55,000 11 to 16-year-olds in the UK were problem gamblers. So it's a clinic for gaming and gambling. It does seem to be more oriented towards the gambling side. Or at least
where are they getting this money from in the first place? Have they got themselves a job? Have they got themselves a job where they're spending their own money, gambling their money away? No, they haven't. They're just using their parents' credit cards and stuff.
Does this come back to the parenting thing again?
I'm pretty sure it does. But where else do they get their money from? They're getting their money from their parents. Their parents are the reason why they're gambling addicts and letting them do it. Just sort your kid out, man. Take their credit card away. Take their computer away. Do something.
Take their credit card away. Take the kid's credit card.
Yeah. Maybe first of all try and figure out why your kid has a credit card, and then cross the bridge of taking it away. Yeah.
Well, this is for 11 to 16-year-olds, so I imagine not many of them have credit or have much money. But as much as it is oriented towards gambling, it is also for the general addiction of playing online games.
Yeah.
So it's
that
not
was a
just
voice
about
crack and a
the money
half.
side of it. Interestingly, I think this is an interesting little tidbit on this note. Stuart Kenny, the Paddy Power founder, resigned in 2016 over what he saw as a failure to tackle problem gambling. He says advertising is normalising gambling for children, and it has become nearly part of the game when watching football. And that's an interesting point. Like, I don't think I know anybody that's a football fan that hasn't at some point put a little bit of money on a game, or bet on the World Cup or something like that. And I kind of see what he's saying in regards to all of this. This whole putting money into a game and gambling and the surprise mechanics, as he would put it, is becoming extremely normalised, and it is a little bit of a scary thing.
It's worrying. Yeah. I think let me clarify. I'm sure Kevin agrees with me here as well. Gaming addiction is one thing, but addiction as an entirety, not all of it is as easy to tackle as gaming addiction. So, like the NHS clinic opening up a clinic for gambling in general and addiction in general is a good thing. We're not saying that parents just sort it out. It's not that simple in some cases. Like you got kids that are just addicted to Coca-Cola, and that can be really detrimental to them. Because remember when we talk about addiction, we're not just talking about they have a can of Coke every single day. Like, no, we're talking about some people that take it a lot further than that, know. And it's definitely a good thing and a step in the right direction, recognizing it, I think. But at the same time, parents, start parenting, please.
And the thing is that the more of this kind of thing that we see, the more of this treatment of addiction that we see, I think the more it's going to help us change our general perspective on what addiction actually is. We need to start seeing it as an illness and a disease in itself, and having a reliance on anything whatsoever is just not healthy, and there are deeper root causes to that. And I feel that having these clinics where there are professionals that help these people will help us get to the bottom of this. And if an 11-year-old has treatment for video game addiction, it could potentially help them in later life as well when it comes to exposure to drugs and alcohol and anything else that one might get addicted to. So I think generally for the community, it's a good thing.
In terms of in terms of clinical data as well. I know it sounds stupid, but
no, it's a good point.
It also creates this more data and statistics for UK public health. So so at that point, games need to start looking at that sort of thing. They need to start looking at, right, so we have this percentage of people, this percentage of kids are getting addicted to this, like severely addicted to this. We need to start changing our mechanics so that it's not,
so it's more
so it could help normalise it. Shut up. By creating a public awareness of the actual medical implications of it, it really sort of shines more of a light on what the game companies, in particular UK game companies, are doing to help prevent that from happening.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Yeah,
good all round stuff, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's move on. The PlayStation 5 is releasing holiday 2020, so Christmas next year.
Which means it's going to come out March 2021.
Well, we'll see. It's now officially been named the PlayStation 5. I think we all saw that coming anyway, but they have confirmed it verbally. They think it's going to come alongside the Project Scarlet, the Xbox next generation console as well. And they've given us a few little tidbits of information about it, which some of this sounds quite interesting. The main thing being a redesign of the technology within the controller itself. So, in particular, the triggers at the back of the controller. Now, there's always been this kind of back and forth war between the Xbox controller and the PlayStation controller, which one's better. One of the things that people often refer to is how the triggers feel, because it's generally a lot of people play shooting games, and it does help to have a nice responsive trigger button. But what they're doing is, I'm not sure exactly what they're calling it, but I guess they're adaptive. So what the developers will be able to do is, into their games themselves, program varying responsiveness levels to the triggers themselves. So the way they describe it is, you will take a bow and arrow, for example. In a video game or in real life, when you pull on a bow and arrow, the first bit of tension on the string is going to be nice and easy. So mapped to the button on the controller, the first bit of the button as you press it will just go down nice and smoothly. But the more you pull the string back on the bow, the tighter it gets. What's so funny about that?
Sounds wicked, man.
What? Because that's like an exercise for your fingers, man. By the end of the game, your fingers are going to be...
No, it's not.
It won't be that hard.
No,
it's not going to be...
It's not like an exercise, Kevin.
It's not going to be as hard as pulling a bowstring.
You're like, you get out of your room sweating, like, what have you been doing in it? I was just trying to pull a bow, man. My finger, it's lopped off.
But Kev, when you go to your mate's house, right, and you're gonna play like a couch co-op game, and he has the Xbox controller, and he gives you like the
Mad Cats
Quintachi £5 Amazon controller, and there's like no resistance on the
controller
triggers.
Yeah,
just clicks.
Yeah. It's kind of like that. So just changing the resistance as it goes further in.
It can change on the fly in response to different things happening in the game. So another example. Go on, Ben.
So is that user input, or is that so the game developer decides? Is it?
The game developer can decide. So
that's really cool.
Isn't that is really cool. So another example that they gave in another article was, if you're playing a racing game like Gran Turismo 9 or whatever, as you're moving around the track and bumps are appearing in the road and things, the tightness of the accelerator will lessen and increase as you're going over different obstacles, and it will actually bounce up and down in a way. So it will be relatively subtle, but relative to what's happening in the game, I think it's going to feel really nice. You know what I mean? Like,
if it's done right, it will feel nice. But I'm worried that it's a like almost a thing that you'll be like, oh, that's so cool, and then when you're actually using it, it doesn't actually provide anything.
I think
it might dry up quite quick.
Okay, the way I see it, I see it the same way that I saw HD Rumble for the Switch, where they were like, look at the stuff you can do. You can feel how many balls are in this container when the 1-2 switch thing, and it's like, okay, cool, but then no game has used it partly because it's a lot of effort, apparently, like a lot of effort, and partly because it's just a gimmick, I guess.
I don't know if it's a gimmick. I think it feels really good. If you compare it, like, especially if you compare it
felt
side
it,
by
Dan.
side
You haven't
with
felt
something
it.
else, it feels really nice. Like,
What do you mean? You haven't felt it? What are you talking
the HD Rumble.
about? Oh, sorry. Right, yeah. We're talking about the triggers. I was like, you got some super early developer kit.
The HD Rumble, yeah. So actually, funnily enough, that's the other thing that they've announced about the controller is that they're putting a lot more focus into the Rumble technology. It's about
They need
time,
to be fair.
honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the triggers sound cool. They haven't said it's called the DualShock 5 yet. I think we can assume that it will be. But yeah,
No, they should call it something swanky, man.
The Trigger Presser 4000. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something like that.
360 no scope.
360 no scope controller.
I like it. Trademark. Cool.
Yeah.
That's all we really know about that. But the most exciting.
Have you guys seen the potential model for the PS5? Do you know the
Render.
leaked pattern thing? It looks hideous.
I know, but they did this with
So
all of the
horrid.
consoles though. Like the PS4 had some horrible renderings. The PS3 had some terrible ones.
Yeah, but this looks ridiculous. Like, what on earth is that monstrosity? Again, listeners, if you haven't seen it, then have a look at the potential PS5 model because it just looks weird, man.
Yeah, it looks.
It's
like
too round, I think. There's too many like rounded edges on it. It just looks weird.
I think it's rubbish. I don't think it's gonna look anything like that, to be honest. The dev kit
Same.
might, but I think it's rubbish. I think it's just.
I mean, to be fair, that pattern model thingy, that happened like nearly 2 years ago, maybe. That was announced. I mean, there's probably maybe that was one of the ideas they went through, possibly.
Oh yeah, they probably had tons.
It could also be an internal thing as well, whereas like the actual box unit is going to look different, but because apparently the reason it's designed like that is to do with airflow or something, that weird gap thing in the middle.
Yeah, that might be what they're patenting with this particular design, just a way of increasing the airflow or the cooling. And
because they're going to need to,
of it or something.
Especially if they're determined to run games at 8K.
Yeah, never going to happen.
Never going to happen.
So I'll move on from that because that's pretty much all we know.
Yeah.
Do we go on to the big political thing straight away, or should we talk about something?
Save that for last.
Yeah, that's not the biggest thing on it. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice little interesting bit of industry news. The former CEO of Bungie has founded a new multi-studio AAA game company. So this is the guy that basically led Halo and Destiny. He's got an interesting little company going. Embarrassingly, I think I've forgotten to write the name down. Oh, here we go. It's called Probably Monsters is the name of the studio. They're taking a very different approach to things. It's kind of all about transparency and outsourcing. Really, it's interesting. I don't know what they're going to make, but it's something happening. It's pretty big news in the industry. So
very, very early days though.
Very early days.
We've got a new game developing company. It's like cool.
Yeah, but it's got some big
games
names.
take like 5-6 years to make these days.
It's got some big names and it's got some serious talent. And the way, I mean, I'm not going to talk about it too much now, but the way they talk about how they're going to do things differently is interesting. And it's come from the collective minds of a lot of very, very experienced people that have worked on some of the biggest and most successful games. So maybe we'll see a change finally.
Yeah, but then you look at bands. Have you ever heard of a good? I don't know. I can't remember what the name is. Super band. You know, when they have like the guitarist from one band, the singer from another band, and whatever. Yeah, and 99% of them are garbage. So we'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay, I've got one more bit before we move on to the big one. This one I thought was really interesting. The title of a patent by Activision, the big lovely Activision, whose name seems to be coming up all too often these days. The title of the patent is System and Methods for Transparently Styling Non-Player Characters, NPCs, in a Multiplayer Video Game. This sounds like some really, really interesting technology that they've thought really hard about and put a lot of work into. So I've actually just copied a big chunk of the patent here. I'm not going to read that out. But basically, it's a system that allows Activision and their studios to develop NPCs in a video game that are indistinguishable from real players, from human beings. So what that means is you could be playing a game of Call of Duty 9, and the people that you're playing with and the people that you're playing against, their aim is to have it so that you would have no idea. The way that they move and the way they interact with their environments, the strategies that they use, it would all be really, really AI human-like. The interesting thing about this, I thought, was some of the data that they're going to capture in order to make this possible. So the way it would work is it would have a system in place that, let's say, monitors you playing a particular game, like World of Warcraft, assuming that World of Warcraft was an Activision game. It monitors you playing, and it takes all manner of statistics about how you play and the way you move around the world and the way you respond to things, how quickly you respond, all these kind of very arbitrary number statistic type things. And then it would copy your profile and put it onto an NPC. So at first it kind of feels like, oh, they're just going to make better bots, but it goes a lot further than that. So one of the things that they want to do in order to gauge what they call player satisfaction is, here we go, let me read this out because this is... One of the things that they're going to do is take biometric factors such as facial expressions, your pulse, your body language, the sweat output, etc. So they're talking about using things like the Kinect camera and the VR camera to watch you as you play. Take that information and turn that into a digital model of you as a human being, and then apply that to a digital character in a video game. So imagine if you're walking around like the next Skyrim game, and the other people that you see walking around are behaving exactly like you are. They're so human-like that you can't tell that they're bots. That's what they're going for here. It's a huge pattern. And
I am really confused right now. Kevin, are you confused?
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't quite understand what you're talking about.
I'm sorry, I haven't framed it very well, have I? Should we start?
No. What you're saying makes sense, but when you just can't visualize it, I don't quite.
Okay.
In my head, I'm just picturing walking around in Skyrim with everyone with my face, and that it's going to haunt my dreams forever.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me read out the first part of the pattern, and maybe this will help. A system and method are provided for transparently starting non-player NPCs in multiplayer video games, such that it is difficult to distinguish between human players and computer-controlled NPCs. NPCs may be styled to resemble human players in terms of both player profile attributes and gameplay actions, such that players may not recognize NPCs as non-human. Computer-controlled players. Non-human. Additionally, or alternatively, NPCs and or human players may be presented with a limited set of profile attributes that may reduce or eliminate the ability to distinguish between human players and NPCs. One or more profile attributes may be anonymized, and or the ability to view player profiles of human players and or NPCs. Legal lingo, NPCs may be disabled altogether in certain gameplay sessions, blah blah blah. Some of the other things that they're going to do here. I mean, does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Is it just my face?
No, not your face, your...
No. Is it just me?
What do you mean?
No, it's your actions and the way you move.
No. That's what
I see what you mean, Ben. I see what you mean. So,
is it just me, or is it like metadata from everyone's faces?
Yeah, it's basically data from everybody that they will potentially swap and move
that's
around.
really cool.
But...
that makes sense.
Yeah, so they're going to try and create NPCs that are... they're based on...
Basically, they're trying to make AI based on metadata from people's faces on cameras.
Not just their faces, the way that they play
their actions, yeah. But it's to do with metadata and not just me, because that is the part I was concerned about. I do not want to walk around. I don't want to walk around the next Elder Scrolls game and just have everyone gurning like I do sometimes. That would just be creepy as hell, man.
I don't mean they're going to literally copy your facial expressions.
No, I'm with you now.
They're going to read your facial expressions to examine how satisfied you are, what your emotions are. Your level of focus might be one of them. Concentration, how distracted you are, the things that catch your attention. So many different things.
So like, for example, if I'm playing right, loads of people are playing a horror game, yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a particular point. There's loads of characters and loads of NPCs, and a particular point, you get jump scared sort of thing, and then they can take that metadata and apply that to the NPCs in the game to make it
Scarier.
to make the NPCs' reaction seem more human.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
That sounds really
so
cool.
that works in both terms of animation and believableness in the way that they move, but also the way that they respond to your actions directly as well. So this kind of took me back to one of the only other examples I can think of. And this is kind of going back, I think, to episode 1, where we talked about cheats in video games and bots and that kind of stuff. And back in the early days, we were in some relatively indie MMO games that I used to play. One of the problems was botting, particularly by Chinese gold farmers, where they would basically have automation programs, having a character run around the world, kill mobs, collect gold, run quests, without anybody needing to be at the computer. But obviously, as people started to catch on to this, people were reporting them and they were trying to find ways to stop it from happening by banning the engines and putting cheat systems in place and all that kind of stuff. But obviously that caused a back and forth battle between the live players that were actually in the game and the bots that had nobody at their keyboards. So as the bots got smarter, and this is something that I was kind of a little bit involved with and playing with a lot, the people that were designing these botting programs were finding ways to make their automated characters seem more human. And some of the things that we developed were, responding to whispers, pretending not to understand languages, replying to people, using emotes in the right context, that kind of thing. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's been going on for a long time, but with a company like Activision collecting this much data, I think it points to really, really realistic AI. I mean, it's also kind of scary, like the idea of going and playing a game of Call of Duty and not knowing if you're playing against people or bots, or being told you're playing against people when actually you're not. You're playing against bots and they're just collecting more data on you.
I'm curious to see how it actually pans out in practice, though, because there's lots of ideas like this floating around, but how it's actually implemented into games is the only bit that we see. You know what I mean? So
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine if we get to the point where we can do a Turing test on an NPC in a game and we can't tell. Like we can sit there and ask it questions and talk to it and emote with it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's mad. If it pans out that way, then that's pretty mad.
I'm sorry, I found this one really interesting, so I talked about it.
No, it is. Yeah. Right, next one. Go to the big one. Yeah.
The big one. Some people will be sick of hearing this, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Here we are.
I almost just said the same thing that I said a second ago. How do we start this? So, gamers are calling for a boycott of Blizzard after the Hong Kong protest ban. So, let me frame this for you guys that don't understand. There was a famous esports player called Blitzchung, is his online name. At the end of an esports competition, he had an interview with a couple of streamers or casters, and at the end of his interview, or at some point during the interview, he took off his mask and said something. It was one of the slogans from Hong Kong's pro-democracy movement, basically just showing support for those hundreds of thousands of people in the streets of Hong Kong that have been there for months protesting for their human rights. He was pretty much immediately banned from all future Blizzard esports competitions. All of the prize money that he'd already won was taken from him. They said, nope, you can't have that anymore. So they stripped away all of his winnings. This isn't, all of the chances to win anything. This is stuff that he's already won. And I think most interestingly, Activision put out a tweet in China. In fact, I don't even know if this was in China, but I think it was in Chinese. This has been translated a few times. We are very angered and disappointed at what happened at the event and do not condone it in any way. We also highly object to the spreading of personal political beliefs in this manner. Effective immediately, we've banned the contestant from events and terminated work with the broadcasters. So not only was the esports champion banned from events, the people that were interviewing him, because they didn't stop him from saying this or allowed it to happen, both lost their jobs immediately.
Oh my god, I didn't know that bit.
they go on to end this tweet with, "We will always respect and defend the pride of our country." So you can kind of see where this is going now. It's almost like Activision in this tweet are representing the nation of China. So that is, I think that's kind of scary, isn't it? Like the fact that obviously a lot of their audience is based in China. They make a lot of money out of China, like a lot. And I imagine quite a few of their big shareholders are Chinese. You know, that wouldn't surprise me. And suddenly they're essentially censoring anything that's anti-Chinese government. This is what they've done here.
Yeah,
I think they could have just done so much little about, like, in terms of, I understand that this guy that won the thing that he did, he, in my opinion, looking at this the way they are, he could have just kept his beliefs and how he felt to himself. He didn't have to do what he did. That being said, they definitely went so unbelievably overboard in terms of what they did and how ridiculous they were about it. So part of me, like, in my opinion, I think it's all scummy and I think it's crap. But then that guy, I guess he didn't have to do what he did. He could have just kept it to himself. But then he is raising people's eyes, opening people's eyes to the situation. So, Ben, you were going to say anyway.
I don't have problem with it.
What?
What
Okay.
Activision did?
That's interesting.
What Blizzard did?
Not the response I was expecting, but go on, tell me why.
Okay, no, I do have a problem with it, but not the same way. You can't just say that everyone can have freedom of speech. Okay? We live in a world where freedom of speech is a very fickle thing.
Yeah.
If you say that this guy can say that, why can't I, I mean, I am really good at Overwatch, so when I eventually win that tournament one day, if they say that guy can say that, why can't I say, Nazis rule?
Why do you believe that?
No, I do not believe that.
Soundbite.
What? But what? No, that is not a soundbite, Dan. You're gonna make a jingle out of it, aren't you? God.
Nazis rule.
Oh my god. Let's move on.
No, let's not do that. Yeah, but can you see what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. I see what you're saying.
We don't. Okay, it's easy for us from outside to say, right, we don't agree with what Blizzard have done, but this is a big deal to them, right? And if we had a UK esports thing, and someone that said, I don't know, some racist remark at the end sort of thing, that's technically freedom of speech. Do you reckon that they should still get their prize money?
In a way, I get what you're saying, that this is about freedom of speech and that certain platforms shouldn't be used for advertising or spreading political beliefs, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, what the events that he's talking about are no small events. These are like grand scale corruption and huge.
Yeah, but this is your opinion. Remember, that's what I mean. You're looking at this from outside, saying I'm on Hong Kong's side, so of course you're going to be on his side.
But do you know? I mean, I don't want to get into the politics of it too much, but do you know?
Yeah. I'm fully aware of the whole Hong Kong China thing. Yeah,
there are
I agree.
Many people protesting, and it's getting almost no news coverage at the moment.
And I'm on that side as well. I agree, but that's because we're on that side. It's very easy for us to say that this is scummy. But if it was anything else that we didn't agree with, you wouldn't be saying it's scummy. If I said Nazis rule at the end of a thing and I got banned, what would you say? Well, I'm entitled to my freedom of speech. No, it's just because you agree with the Hong Kong thing.
Yeah, but then you could just if you're going to take quite extreme examples, then we could, let's say we went back several years.
Okay.
And
Forget the extreme example.
No, but
go
I
to
think
something
this is
really mellow then.
This is a relevant point because I think if you went back to a certain point in history and the Holocaust was happening and nobody knew about it, and somebody said on the news, "Hey, everybody, don't forget the Holocaust is going on. Support the Jews and take them out the concentration camps on a live platform," and he got completely deplatformed, you'd be like, "Hold on a minute. Yes, it's a very extreme example compared to what's going on."
We can't even use that example, right? Okay, let's talk about something that's really relevant at the minute. I win an esports championship, and I say at the end of it, "Fuck Brexit," yeah, and then I get banned for that. If everyone that agrees with Brexit will probably be on the side of, well, that's fine, ban him, whatever. But then everyone that is on my side would be against it because it just comes back to the political beliefs again. And of course, I don't know. I just feel like it's not fair to say because we're on the side of Hong Kong. It's not fair to say that
it's okay to say these things on air.
Can I add a little thing?
Of course.
Yeah.
When people are doing interviews and stuff, so for example, this person did an interview and it was being shown on the platform of Blizzard, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That person that says their political statement, or his political statement, what he says goes through to the people watching Blizzard. He is almost saying something because Blizzard are them directly wanting to interview this person because he's the champion. He's now being interviewed as a Blizzard kind of person. Him saying that removes any speech that Blizzard have. Speech is almost Blizzard's almost like their speech was coming through this person, and he said this. Blizzard didn't like that he had that what he said because he's almost a representation of Blizzard.
Yeah, so you're saying that they've shut him down because he's giving the impression that he's representing the company by speaking on their platform with his political views. Yeah,
which is the same as it's the same thing as, for example, Twitch. How many people get banned on Twitch for saying really bad, horrible things because they are streaming on Twitch's website. People go onto Twitch. Someone says something bad. That it isn't that person's freedom of speech because they're producing their voice through Twitch. Twitch's voice is then to be like, no, we don't want that kind of thing to be said. For example, Blizzard, they didn't want this thing to be said through them. Obviously, it's a very extreme, macro-esque way of looking at it all. But essentially, that is one way I see the point of Blizzard. I see and how I almost partly...
Sure. I get that. I understand platforms to a degree taking down people that say racist things or extremely politically incorrect things, maybe. But I don't know. Like, it's not like he told anybody to go and do anything or believe a certain thing or started shouting about extreme religious beliefs. All he said was stand with the people of Hong Kong, as in go and check out what's going on. And if somebody was to go on a platform like this and say, praise Jesus at the end or something like that, maybe that would be grounds for dismissal as well. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot more of an agenda around this, especially with how heavy-handedly they did this. It's not like they gave him a warning and said, look, you can't do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any prior history of doing this. And it's such a politically heated discussion right now that by treating it in such a way, by immediately banning him, by immediately firing both of the people that interviewed him, and by taking away all of his winnings from all previous tournaments, that to me speaks volumes. I think that seems to indicate that there's much more of an agenda here.
Oh, the agenda's clearly there. Like, but it's not.
I'm not saying
This
he
is what
should
I
have
mean.
done what he did. But I'm not
No,
saying
no,
that
no.
what he did was the
No,
right thing.
no, exactly. And of course, it's like I said, very easy for us to say, right, I agree with him, so he has every right to say that.
Yeah.
But there's cases on people being banned on Twitch for supposed freedom of speech.
I think Twitch
stuff.
is a
And
bad
it
example though, because Twitch's censorship. Twitch's censorship is very much in question right now. But I know I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, there's so many situations where this happens, and everyone's kicking off about this one because everyone is on the side of Hong Kong.
Of the millions and millions of people in Hong Kong, you mean?
Well, I mean, Hong Kong as a country contains millions and millions of people, so.
I'm just saying, yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, so it's very easy for everyone to just go ham on Blizzard for this. I agree. The way they did it was bad.
Yeah.
That was over the top, man. Like, chill your beans, man. Like you said, all you had to do was either give a warning, or just be. I think the bit that pisses me off the most is the fact that they fired two presenter people.
Yeah.
And it's just like
maybe that's in
like...
their contract though. Maybe it's in. Okay, I understand. In that quick moment, he said that, and I mean, I don't think anyone in their life could stop that kind of thing. But
no.
maybe it's in their contract to stop anything that goes on like that.
They
Okay,
kind of put
that
their heads
bit
down
probably wasn't
and
good.
they were like, "Oh my god, he just said it," and kind of chuckled to themselves a bit and put their heads down and hid their faces and was like, "Oh my god, he just said that."
Maybe on their part they should have shut it down quickly and be like,
not very professional.
We're sorry, we're sorry about that. We didn't mean, Oh, okay. In hindsight, these are the things that could have happened, but it didn't happen. The firing of the presenters, in my opinion, is just utterly ridiculous.
It's just a bit mean, really. It's just a bit like
taking the guys like. Why not just give the guy his money, take his stuff, just say to him, dude, that's not cool.
Here's a 6-month ban or something.
But ban him from the next 2 years worth of events or something.
No, but you guys are saying this, but are you saying it wouldn't have kicked off as much if they banned someone, even for 6 months? If they banned him from future events for 6 months, do you honestly think it wouldn't have kicked off as much? It's got nothing to do with how they did it, I don't think. It's literally to do with the fact that everyone is on the side of Hong Kong.
No.
And because of course it is. You honestly you think that if this news story was
no, people are kicking
agree.
off because it's very clear that Activision are very, very much so on the side of the oppressive state of China right now.
Exactly. So if the repercussion was banning him for 6 months, what difference would it make? The situation's still the same.
But the point is, Activision did this to make a statement to China to say, look, we're on your side and we're gonna fight back against anybody that speaks out against you, because we have so much money investment from your country that we need to be on the same team. And the fact that the tweets that they are putting out there are speaking as if they are representing China as a nation, and this is not the only translation of it. There are several other translations which all say the same thing in different ways, but they're all saying, the same thing, that we will stand by our nation of China. We are strong and proud. We are China. We are a communist state, and all this kind of stuff. And it's just a little bit scary because I just don't think a country should have that much control over a company that speaks and reaches out to so many people. Activision are huge. And I must say at this point as well that it's not Blizzard that people are angry at. Tons of developers from Blizzard themselves have literally walked out in protest of the offices and stood outside with banners and said, "Look, we're
no, it is Blizzard people are angry at. There's protests going to happen at BlizzCon.
Oh yeah, no, people are angry at Blizzard, but the developers in Blizzard is nothing to do with them. It's Activision that own Blizzard that put these statements out there. Blizzard staff, the actual technical people that work in Blizzard, are angry themselves. They are walking out of Blizzard, leaving their jobs and saying, "We won't stand for this." It's not Blizzard, so to speak. I mean, obviously, that it's hashtag boycott Blizzard. It's hashtag Blizzard boycott. But it's the fact that it's Activision, a huge conglomerate, that's doing this. That to me is the scary part. That it's a huge multinational, multi-billion pound organisation that's
but it is
significantly
also
bigger than Blizzard.
Yeah, but it is also a huge multinational blah blah blah, whatever you just said, that has in their terms of service for these live events, you can bar players from any act that brings you into public disrepute, offends a portion or group of the public, or otherwise damages.
Yeah, but
the
if it
company's
was
image.
anything else, if it was like, as you say, if it was, fuck Brexit or something like that, there's no way that they would have reacted in such a way. They would have given him a slap on the wrist. The fact that this was an
they would have done if it was
anti-Chinese
as...
statement is what caused them to react in this way, and it was to make a statement. That's the thing here. This is why people are pissed off, because they are bowing down to China, and China are pulling the strings. I think it's quite clear that that's what's going on.
Okay, right. So screw the Brexit thing. What if I say vote for BNP?
Again,
Then we're talking proportions and stuff.
like that, because the BNP that you're speaking. Okay, let's say you said vote against the BNP.
Okay, no, vote for the EDF then. The unanimously racist.
Yeah, EDF
group.
are considered
Yeah,
extremist though. That would be an extremist point of view.
They're not necessarily considered extremists by a lot of people. So
yeah, by a portion of people, they're not. But generally speaking, they're considered to be a racist organisation, like the National Front are. So I think that's not necessarily a parallel example.
No, none of these examples are going to be parallel because we're talking something on national.
But I'm saying, if
national
even
scale,
if you said like you spoke up against America, I don't think they would get this treatment. If you spoke up against the whole of the United Kingdom's government, screw political parties and whatnot.
Daffy boy.
If you spoke up against the UK government, I really don't think that they would have gotten the same treatment.
Okay, let's move out of the UK China. Then. No, I don't think it was. If I went to an American esports thing and I ended with "fuck Trump," there's no way that I'm getting my prize money.
Yeah,
there's no way.
But fuck Trump is a little bit different to stand up with the people. It's like saying if somebody said stand up with the Extinction Rebellion, which is the big political movement in this country.
Oh yeah, okay, that's a good example.
That's a good example, right? I think if they'd said that at the end of their speech, there's no way that Activision would have banned them and taken away all their prize money and caused this huge spectacle about it and just made a point of it. Not a chance.
I don't know. I'm 50-50 on this. I don't like the way that they did it, but at the same time, I can see why they did it. It's in their terms of service as well, so kind of.
Well, do you know what else they did as well? You might find this quite interesting, considering that financial statements and things are coming up pretty soon. Once this all kind of blows over, the thing that everybody's going to look at is user count. How many people left Blizzard and how many people are still with them? How many people still have their accounts, etc. So obviously, as part of the Blizzard boycott campaign, people are going onto Blizzard and deleting their accounts, or closing their accounts, or cancelling their subscriptions. Blizzard turned that service off.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I mean, they're saying that it's a technical problem because some people are saying
that's bollocks.
They're
just panicking.
They've literally gone in and turned off the function to disable your own account. Come on, how shady can you get?
Yeah.
How shady can you get?
It's just really bad timing.
Oh yeah, they just suddenly had a technical problem.
Oh no, you can't delete your account in this term
and
of
suddenly
turmoil.
Millions of people are leaving us. Oh, let's just not allow that. Sorry, you can't.
Oh, the functionality to remove your account has disappeared. Oh no.
Oh no, where did the delete button go? Basically what's happened.
Oh, someone deleted the code. Oh god. Oh god.
So I mean, I think we should move on from that, but
let me stress though that I think it is disgusting. Okay, sure. I'm not on board with it. I'm just curious as to where the line is drawn. Does that make sense? That's I don't know where that line is, and that's the worrying part for me.
Totally, I'm totally with you on that. I think on any platform that allows people to create content, even now, we are expressing points of views and opinions. At what point are we not allowed to express a point of view or opinion?
Yeah, freedom of speech is a lie. Let's move on. Okay,
that's
cool. Is that
all
what
news
you
that I've got, guys?
God, that was a big one, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot. I know some of those things, and this is more of a Kevin thing. But any feedback on any of that? Any types of news that people do like, or any types of news that people don't like, or stuff that you know?
Give us your opinion. What do you think on this subject?
Yeah. I, anyone have any opinions on that Blizzard one? On the Blizzard one, please do write in, because I don't really know where to stand on it, so it'd be interesting to hear people's opinions and not just mainstream media plus Daniel and Kevin's opinions. So please do write in about that. Yeah, write in, send a letter. I'll give you Kevin's address.
Excuse me?
What? Mook squeeze me. Oh god, that is awful. Alright, anyway, let's move on. So news is done. So we're
my bit
moving
of
on
news, though.
to...
My
Oh,
little
sorry,
bit.
go on, Kevin.
Okay, so
Let's see what names he
the
screws up this time.
important bit, okay, of people, because we all like playing games and we want to know what's coming out.
Yep.
Not too many big ones. I'll leave the biggest one to the end.
Wait, let me just open up Google because
we
you're
got
probably going to miss some.
Probably. Children of Mortar. It's coming out on the 15th.
Oh, when's it? That's already out on Steam. So what's it coming out on?
PS4 and Xbox.
Ah, cool.
Awesome.
He's done his research.
Switch is getting closer.
DayZ's coming out in retail on PS4 and Xbox.
Well,
Zombieland Double Tap. Road Trip, that's coming out. Big stuff. And I'll leave the biggest one till the end, like I said, which is Ice Age Scratch Nutty Adventure. It's coming out PC, PS4, Xbox, and Switch. Coming out on the Switch, guys.
But I've been waiting for this for so long.
Scratch Nutty Adventure.
Alright, and of the ones that Kevin's missed.
Honestly, I say so. I go on this website and it literally lists all the games that are coming out, and I do that from the Monday onwards.
So from the 13th to the 20th, yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. You ready? Prepare your ear holes,
Wait,
guys,
okay,
for all these games that Kevin hasn't mentioned. Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and 3?
No, 3. There's no way 3's coming out soon.
3's the one that isn't out yet?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 are now on Nintendo Switch from October the 15th.
What? Dude, that's a huge one.
I know. How has he missed that?
One of the
It's
biggest
not on this
RPGs
list.
of all time.
Kevin, find a different list, Kevin. Your list is obviously shockingly
You know what?
bad.
Maybe it was on there, but I've never heard of it before.
Well, it's a massive game, so do your research, alright. Have you heard of this little game called Overwatch? It's quite big at the moment.
Oh,
it's,
that's that shooty one with the guns and the people and stuff.
Yeah. It's by that Chinese company. That's coming out on Switch, yeah. What else is coming out on Switch, Kevin?
What else is coming out? Do you want me to list all the things it says coming out on Switch?
No, I just want you to tell me the next massive game that's coming out on
Columns
Switch.
2?
What? What did you say?
The next AAA game that's coming out on Switch, Kevin. Same day as Overwatch.
Oh, Witcher 3.
Okay, your list... Thank you. How did you not mention that?
What was it? I missed it.
Witcher 3
You know
is
what
coming
it is?
out on Switch on the 15th.
Because it says complete edition, so I think to myself, well, maybe the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is already out, but they're just putting the complete edition out there now.
Don't worry, Kevin. I've got more, okay? Have you guys heard of this little game which is probably going to be Game of the Year this year for a lot of people, called Outer Wilds?
Oh my god, yes, that's next on my list, literally.
Yeah,
as soon as I finish observation, I'm playing that.
Yep. So that's coming out on PS4 this week.
Oh my god.
What else has he missed? Little Town Hero, which is a new Nintendo Switch game, which is supposed to be quite chilled, very good. That's coming out on the 16th. Ring Fit Adventure.
Sorry, Little Town Hero was the one that was originally just called Town, right?
Yeah, something like that, yeah. It's supposed to be quite
where
chilled.
are you getting this from?
Ring Fit Adventure comes out. You know that massive new peripheral for Nintendo Switch that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago? Just an idea, we could have mentioned that in the podcast that was coming out. That's coming out on October the 18th. And also another indie game from last year, which was only on PC last year, and it was very, very popular. I think it got a fair few nominations for Game of the Year. Return of the Obra Dinn is coming out on consoles on October the 18th. Kevin, your list was garbage. How did you fail so hard?
To be honest with you, even if they were on that list, I would...
Kevin, it's not games that you're interested in that's coming out.
Well, what if I list every single one?
Oh, you just need to...
You missed The Sims 4 Realm of Magic. You missed Ninja Savior's Return of the Warriors. Out, buddy.
Alright,
Billy Bomber.
You got a point.
You know, I've never heard of him.
You've got a point, but I think this just means that you
need
to
Sims
just...
4 World of Magic.
Yeah, you just need to delve into video game industry a little bit more, Kevin, because a lot of these games are super popular.
Journalism.
If I Google every single game, there's not like a rating of things.
Yeah, but you just sort of know from looking at other conferences and listening to other podcasts and what things are popular.
I don't do that stuff. What do you think I have this time for that kind of stuff?
The other 6 days in the week that you have? You know. They're not important.
Oh no.
And also, sorry, one more. Felix the Reaper is coming out on October the 17th.
What, this big fat dude holding a branch up in the sky? How am I meant to know that's good? That's what the picture is, just to let you know.
Look at. I think it's by the people that made Humans Fall Flat. It's got exactly the same style, so I presume it is. But you're basically playing this guy that dances through levels. It looks so good.
What's it called?
He does have headphones.
Felix the Reaper.
What, the Reaper?
Felix the Reaper.
Felix.
Like the cat.
Yeah, look it up. Like the cat. Yeah. Don't worry, Kevin. There's not that much coming out next week, so don't worry too much.
There's no point of doing this anymore because I just.
No, it's fine. No, we'll keep doing it. All right. I just want you to do a bit of research.
I can say all the things I think are important, like Scratch, Nutty World, but.
Okay, you can give us your full review on that next week because you're going to play that, aren't you, Kevin?
I don't know. Yeah, sure.
Right. Let's move on to what have we been playing?
I'd like to make a request.
Oh God! Right.
Can I?
3-hour podcast.
No.
Here we come.
No,
Go on.
Can I go last?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool.
Hey, you go first this time. I went first last time, I think. So.
I was first last time, wasn't I? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll go first. Yeah. Okay. So what has Ben been playing? Benjamin has played not much this week because real life has kicked back in. So my section won't be.
Sorry.
well put, Kevin. Well put.
That's not well put at all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Daniel.
Yeah, you tell him, Kev.
But I've still played more than him, and I'm bloody doing a masters and everything, whatever. Okay, so what have I been playing? So I picked up, like I promised, I picked up Aegis Defenders.
Oh, you played it. What did you think?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's a lot harder than I expected.
It picks up really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, the first level was piss easy, and then the second one was like really hard.
I'm interested to hear because you didn't know anything about the game before I described it a couple of weeks ago.
No, not at all.
So how was my description in terms of relevant?
Perfect. Yeah. You pretty much described exactly what it was. So that's right. I'm not going to talk about it much. It was the only thing I'm not sure if you mentioned was the dynamics of it.
What do you mean?
Like the characters.
Oh, in terms of the actual character.
Yeah, so
the way they
it's
interact.
Really good.
Yeah, and
like,
the illustrations.
The way they interact is brilliant. Yeah, the illustration's fantastic. You've met the robot, I presume?
Yeah, Kobo or something.
He's wicked, man. He's just like.
Have you met the other Kobo?
No, not yet. But when he's just like old human logged or something. And he's just like,
no,
must be 40.
My name is whatever his name is. You're like, okay, registered as young human.
yeah. No, it's good. I wasn't expecting to get much story out of it. I expected it to be like an arcade game sort of thing, but the story stuff's really good. I'm really enjoying it actually. Yeah. And I don't understand the choices, the dialogue. I don't really get that yet.
I think it rewards you for saying the thing that makes more sense, but only a little bit. I don't think it has.
But it just seems a bit pointless. Yeah, I don't
it's kind of nice. I guess the response that you get in return might be slightly different each time. Unless you're talking to Kobo. He's a robot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no matter what you say to Kobo, he is logging it as something else. So,
exactly.
But it's really good. I'd recommend it. It's on sale until the 13th, I believe.
Yep.
So it's half price at the minute. Pick it up.
Which means it will be over by the time the podcast comes out.
It will be over by the time the podcast comes out. So
it was on sale
pick it up
until
for full price. I mean, I don't think it's got that much traction, so it's probably one of those games that goes on sale quite often, to be honest. So wait for it to go down in price because it's quite. It's not like a full-on experience. You wouldn't play it in short snippets. I wouldn't pay too much money for it, but
totally worth like £7 or whatever it is now, though.
Yeah. The next game I played is Transistor. So I was looking through Switch sales for ages, thinking I want a new game to play, even though I've got tons to play already. And then I remembered that I bought Transistor for like £3, and oh my god, that was like the best £3 I've spent in ages. It's really good.
Told you,
yeah. The art style is amazing. It's got like this weird, it's like a isometric Neo sort of look to it, like lots of bright colours but it's isometrics, that sort of one camera angle from like 45 degrees in the sky sort of thing. That sort of look. That's me explaining it for the happy pickler, by the way. And so it's quite far away sort of view, so you're quite a small character on the screen, but it allows you to see like a lot of the environment, and it looks really cool. The combat is wicked. Like It's you get all these. I don't understand it at all
Yeah,
because you
it
get like
takes ages to
you get
understand.
like all these normal attacks, and then you get these like benefits, like upgrades for the attacks, and it just gets really confusing. And they all benefit different things in different ways and all sorts.
It's
But I
very,
mean, I've only played about an hour, so
cybery. So I guess a vague way of putting it is the people that you meet have like their soul or their essence is a program, and then you can pick up their program and then install it in yourself and use their ability that's associated with them, or you can install their program as a mod for another program that you've already got. So it's super confusing, but it allows you to play with the intricacies of your attacks and build some interesting combos and strategies.
Yeah, and so the combat has this like freeze time thing, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So you sort of freeze time, and then you have like a certain amount of kind of like Final Fantasy 13 if you played that, where you have like an action point thing, and you sort of you can run, fire something this way, fire something another way, smash the ground around you, run back behind cover, and then it does it all in like quick succession while the enemies are like stuck still, sort of thing. It's really cool. Really good, and it's really difficult as well, which I like. I expected it to be quite easy, so I'm enjoying the fact that I've died like 3 times. Not died. When you die, you lose an ability or something. So it's really interesting. Love it.
How far into it are you roughly? Like how many hours or so?
3rd level, if that helps. I've just got off the boat.
Oh, okay, so you kind of, I think you've already established who your character is and what her role is in the previous life.
Not really. Oh yeah.
So,
I've established that much. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we won't go into that.
No, of course.
Yeah.
But
it's good though.
What do
The
you
story
think of
looks interesting.
The sort of the sounds and the audio aesthetic of it, because I thought that was one of the best parts of the game.
Yeah, I really like it. I love the narrating from the sword.
Yeah, awesome voice acting.
So the sword speaks to you throughout the game, so it's really. But he's got this really chilled voice, kind of like ASMR. It's really nice.
Yeah.
But he talks a bit too much, I find.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I just want to listen to the music or something, and he's just sort of like, "Oh, look, a bird." I'm just like, "Great, thanks, sword." He just talks a bit much. Kind of like me, really. And yeah, the music's amazing. Not really much else to say about it. The enemies are really varied, so it makes the combat really interesting. Sort of bouncing around this game a little bit now in terms of talking about it, but that's fine. Yeah, it's a great game. I really enjoyed it. For £3, man, it is really good.
Yeah.
Like
Supergiant
really
make
good.
Amazing games. They've got so much talent in that team.
They're the Bastion boys, aren't they?
Yeah, they made Bastion.
And Hades, right?
And Hades.
Yeah, cool. The other thing I played very, very briefly this, so I won't talk about it for long, is I tried PlayStation Now on my PC.
Oh, cool.
That's cool.
So I already have a month trial, so I did actually have to pay for a month. It was like £8, whatever it went down to. It still has horrible input lag, unfortunately.
That's not cool.
I mean, it was to be expected, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't stutter though. Like, remember I said last week that I was playing like 1-second snippets of God of War?
Yeah.
There was none of that. It was actually really smooth, like as smooth as the PlayStation 4 would be. Not like 60 frames a second, 1440p sort of thing. There's nothing like. There's no benefit of it because it plays through the PlayStation app thing. It's nothing like Xbox Game Pass where you're downloading a PC version of that game. So it's still limited to the performance of the PlayStation 4. You can probably play some games on it though.
Yeah, I was going to say it's probably viable for certain game types, isn't it?
Yeah,
especially
you can't play first-person games.
No,
that's like near impossible. Like, so I played a bit of Gravity Rush 2.
Oh yeah,
and that was fine, to be honest.
Okay.
It wasn't great, but it wasn't disastrous. It was still playable. But I then did some research. Sorry, this was actually supposed to be one of the elephants in the room from the last show, and there is actually a lot of games you can download on it now. They just don't advertise it very well.
You mean you can actually play them offline, or?
Yes, but not on the PC, only on the PlayStation
4. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. We did say that last week that you wouldn't be able to download God of War into your PC. That would be too much. But like a very big portion of the games you can download and play now. So I'm actually, now that I've got the month's pass, I'm gonna have a go on my PlayStation 4 this week, see what games are up for download and see whether I'd recommend it, I guess, because obviously I love Xbox Game Pass, and in theory PlayStation Now should have a lot of good games on it as well, but I haven't had a chance to browse through it, to be honest, so I don't really know what's on there apart from the games I've already played, like Bloodborne and God of War and all that stuff. But yeah, And then the only other thing I've played is Senua's Sacrifice, which we will be talking about later on because it is our game of the week. Jingle, Dan, make it happen.
Blimey. Praise the jingle.
So yeah, that's me. That's me done. Go on, Mr. Kevin.
Okay. The first one is
FIFA
one
20.
that I said I played last week, which was Ark again, where I got pissed off and quit the game because some stupid Dingo-Looking Dino-Flap just sat in my base and kept killing me and everything. So that is the end of that game for me.
Guys, episode title.
Dingo-Looking Dino-Flap.
Dingo-Looking Dino-Flap. Hell yeah. Was this a character? Another character? Like another person?
No, it was a dinosaur that he just kept hovering around my base, and every single... So I would go away for a bit, I'd do a bunch of different stuff, I'd level up, I'd get a couple of dinosaurs finally. My one goal was to just ride a bloody tortoise, but I just, for the life of me, could not get this tortoise. And then every single time I'd go back to my base, I'd be asleep or doing something, and then this stupid Dino-Flap just comes and kills me and kills everything of mine. So what I'd do is I'd alt F4 because I get pissed off, and then I'm back to back to where I was again, and then I'm like doing it all over again. And then but the thing is, I can't kill this thing, and obviously you think, oh, just move your base and stuff, but oh my god, is that effort? So I'm done with the game. Game is over. No, the dinosaurs eat everything. They eat from your building. Yeah, they eat the walls in the house.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Right. Moral of the story is Kevin, never play Rust. Could you imagine the rage when Kevin puts all this effort into a base and then just gets raged?
Yeah, the idea of Rust really, really don't like.
It's actually really good fun, but yeah.
And then
You're patient.
what would you want to... What's it called? The Xbox beta thing for PC.
Game
Pass. Yeah, they have a little button where it says, "What will you play next?" So I've...
Oh god. Kevin's gambling mentality came into play here.
I pressed that, and this game called Neon Chrome came up. Downloaded it, and it's like a really sci-fi type version of Hotline Miami.
Oh,
sounds cool.
Yeah.
Oh, this was on my list. Yeah. I want to play this at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you might like it, but yeah. I couldn't really get into it because there's not really much. Again, there's not much of a tutorial into it, and there's so much going on. There's buttons you're pressing. There's little pods to go into. You change your gun.
Yeah, it does look a bit confusing.
Yeah, and I was just kind of. I didn't get too far into it. I was a bit like, And then the other one, which is, I'm going to bring this up now because it was basically a game that me and Dan had for you for a while for you to play, Ben, as your game of the week, but Dan strongly stated today that you wouldn't like the game very much.
Strongly stated.
I may be wrong, and if I was wrong, I apologise, but I have a feeling it wasn't up your street, Ben.
And it is a game that I've been playing because I think it's really good. It's City Skyline.
Ben, would you have been?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Would you have been happy with that as a selection?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't have been unhappy with it. I wouldn't have been happy with it. I would have been like, all right, fair enough. I've never played it, so I'll give it a go. Yeah.
Well, I thought it was something a bit different, but I've been playing it, and I think it's really good. I think one thing that is that catches you off guard is you build your city up so quickly, and you don't, out of nowhere, everything just kind of goes a bit crazy, and then you get to the next bit. How to explain this? You basically level up your town through the amount of population you have, and to do that, you have to make sure everyone has the right amount of electricity, and then when it starts getting a bit bigger, you've got to make sure you've got an elementary school, and you've got to make sure you've got the police and the garbage trucks, and you've got to make sure your roads are properly put so there's no traffic. And then you have the industrial area that you've got to make sure you put away from everything. Also, another thing that absolutely ruined me was that you have to make sure you put your water pump upstream from your sewage system. Oh, you have?
Yeah, no, I've played it.
Oh, okay.
And there was something, I can't remember what it was. There was something to do with needing like emergency things around things or something, and it was I think like a fire started and I didn't have any like water sources nearby or something like that.
Yeah. So you need like a fire engine, but the problem with it is that it only hits a certain area. Also, one thing I didn't realise is that depending on the way your roads are, because if you have one-way roads, your fire engines don't allocate to them areas. But like obviously, it kind of makes sense because if they can't get down the road because it's a one-way system, they wouldn't be able to do it. But there are ways to get to it. But because that way might be such a long way, it doesn't allocate to it, and it's a bit of a. It's very. I can imagine as you grow it bigger and bigger and bigger that it'd become so difficult to get everything aligned. But I guess that's a part of the good bit. It's just the challenge.
Can I make a suggestion quickly?
Mm.
I can't remember what I think it was IGN, right? They did this thing, and it sounds so good, and I think we should do it. Where you start one of us starts a city skylines map, for a week, and then the next person takes it over for a week, and then the next person takes it over for a week.
Okay.
And then you go back to the original person again, right at the end, and you basically just try and create as much chaos as you can for the next person. It sounds so good.
Okay, I like that idea. Yeah,
we do that. That'll be well fun.
We need to learn how to like do the basics first. Like
no. That's the point.
Oh, okay.
You don't learn the basics, right? So Kevin should probably start it and try and make it as like
easy as possible,
like as solid as possible. And then me and Dan are just gonna come in and absolutely trample the place.
I guess the idea is to actually try and maintain it, but probably fail in the process, right?
I think maintain it, but do it in a way that it makes it much more difficult for the next person to try and maintain it.
Yeah. Exactly. Like only one-way roads or something. So the fire engine has to go like all the way around the city just to get to a house next to it.
It's next to me, but I can't go that way with the engine. Although
we should do that.
Do that as a little side bit.
One of my favourite things in the game is if people start moaning about like the smell or if there's like a fire or something. You have a bulldoze button, so you just bulldoze a building and then they build it up again.
Oh, there's a bad smell. Oh, it's fine. I'll get rid of that. Don't worry. No problem.
There was one thing where actually I'll tell you another funny thing that happened. But like someone might die in a building, and then the person next to him be like, "Oh, I'm gonna move if it keeps smelling that way." And I was like, "Okay, just delete you." And someone else would build it up until I have the necessary service to get rid of the dead body. Probably by that time I'd delete that building anyway, but still.
Wait, is it that small scale then?
Small scale?
I mean, can you see
Does
individual
it
people?
start off like
It's tiny, yeah.
No, because the pictures I've seen are massive.
Oh yeah, but you literally start with nothing but two roads coming off a motorway.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely the one I played. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
you always start with like a motorway service station.
But the funny thing that happened to me earlier on was that there was a dead person in a building, and I just thought it was a dead person in a building. When I deleted it, I realised it was a school.
Oh my god!
It was a primary school. And I just
that got dark quickly.
Yeah, I deleted it, and everyone got really sad, and I was like, "Oh, that's my primary school. Why was there a dead person in primary school?
Why is there a dead body there?"
It's just like 400 like primary school students just on the side of the road, like.
And that's all the games I've played, other than Stanley Parable, which we'll get into when it's my turn.
Cool. I mean, that actually sounds like a lot of fun, that game. The only reason the main reason I wanted to move away from that as a suggestion is it feels like a game that you just want to keep playing and keep going back to and keep doing runs and, play over the space of a few months instead of
I get that.
Instead of limiting it to 3 weeks. But anyway, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'd like to play that myself, actually. Well described.
Yeah, we'll do our 3 week thing. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is it on Game Pass? It is.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, sick. So we'd need to use one login, obviously. Well, we could talk about this later, but yeah. Right, Dan, go.
Cool. First one is I played a little bit more of my game of the week, which was Evil Within. But I'll skip over that one. Still having fun with that. I'm having a session on it tomorrow. Good so far. Another one I've played is Hades. So I actually did this one on stream. This is another Supergiant game. Same people that made Transistor that you played, Ben.
Yeah.
I really, really, really enjoyed this.
It looks mad. Like, it looks well good.
So artistic again, it's another isometric game. So 45-degree downward angle, fixed camera. The premise is you're the son of Hades, god of the underworld, and he's kind of sitting there on a big throne when you launch the game up, and you walk up to him, and he's like, screw you, son," and you're like, "Oh, screw you too, I'm leaving," and you try and get out of hell, and you have to go through all the different areas, fighting demons and stuff. It's a roguelike, which essentially means you push through as far as you can, and when you die, you go right back to the start again with some minor improvements, and you keep sort of pushing to beat your best score and get further and further. Artistically, it looks... The only way I can describe it is it almost looks like traditional Japanese tattoos. Very, very bold colours, an inky type feeling. I don't know if inky is the right word or inked is the right term for that.
Almost like cel-shaded, kind of.
Yeah, kind of. I just feel like it's been drawn with big, thick brushstrokes and that kind of thing. But yeah, the colours like fly out of the screen. It really, really pops.
That's
and the combat is so good. If you've played Dead Cells, like that fluidity of combat.
Don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Rolling around and, sliding and grappling onto edges. It probably... I mean, I'd seen a little bit of gameplay before I played. It feels so much better than it looks. And it's hard to overstate that. Like, just the momentum and the movement that you have and the agility around the battlefield is... it's super satisfying. The characters are brilliant. The voice acting is really, really good. And the interactions that you have with all the characters as you progress through the game.
Apologies.
What was that?
An alarm. Goes off at 11 o'clock.
Why have you got an alarm for 11 o'clock?
Just Effie's pill.
Oh, right, yeah.
Cool.
Apologies about that, sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, so as you're progressing through the levels, it's quite dialogue. It's quite narrative heavy as well, and it's done in a really interesting way that I've not seen before in a roguelike. Generally, a roguelike is very repetitive. You go through the same thing over and over again. But with this, as you push further and further each time you kind of restart, providing you've got a bit further on this run, it will introduce a bit more of the story to you. There will be some more dialogue options with the various gods and goddesses back at home. And the story kind of slowly unravels itself as you play. The pacing is brilliant. It kind of unlocks different weapon styles, and I think there's 4 or 5 weapons at the moment. And each one feels completely different, like utterly and unique in every way. And the possible combinations of boons and effects and tying different skill things together works really nicely. It seems to be balanced perfectly. The boss fights are epic. And
Meg,
man. Meg was the bane of my existence for about 6 runs. And then finally, when I beat her, I was like, oh, okay, Meg. And then I went back to, when I eventually died on that run, I went back home and she was there waiting for me in the bar. Like, screw you, I'll get you next time. And then the next time I just like slapped her about like it was nothing. Yeah.
That was a satisfying moment watching you beat her.
Oh yeah, you were on the street. Yeah, you saw that. Yeah, yeah, that was really good. Yeah, I mean, all in all, I think it's a beautifully polished game. It's early access. I think the full release is December this year, and it's pretty clear they've been consistently supporting it and updating it. Another update came out just a few days ago, which adds a load of new things. Yeah, tons of fun. I really, really highly recommend that. And the fact that it's made by Supergiant, who made like obviously Bastion, Transistor, and what was the other one? Pyre. All 3 of them are supposed to... I haven't played Pyre, but the other 2 are awesome. Like,
I've got Pyre downloaded on my PC. I need to play it at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to play that actually. I highly recommend Hades. It's really, 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 really good. And I must say as well, the soundtrack, the guy that did pretty much all of the audio work for that game, I've forgotten.
It's so good. Good.
He is a genius. He does everything himself. He sits in home in his studio and he does all the drumming bits and some sequencing.
The bass lines, man, they're just top notch.
Goes back into the office and he does all the voice recording and synthesizes all the voices as well. And all the gods have really interesting personalities and interactions. It's an absolutely brilliant game. Really, really good.
What's his name? Do you know his name?
I've forgotten his name, but if you look up the sound and the sound,
give him a little shout out.
Audio lead. Yeah, find it because he's genuinely a musical genius. Like, absolutely. I'm really sorry I've forgotten your name if you ever hear this. What?
Darren Korb.
Yes, Corb. That's right.
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah. Mass.
Darren Korb, you're a lad. We love you.
So talented. Yeah, so
Good old
talented. Yeah, so that's all I've got to say about that one. And it's,
Yeah, if you want to watch, because there's a big update out soon, or it's out now.
it came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so I presume you're going to stream some more.
Yeah, I probably will stream a bit more. The only thing.
But if you.
Yeah, go
Go
on.
on.
I was going to say, as a streaming game, it might be a bit repetitive to watch, but I might just do it.
Nah,
anyway.
it's a skill-based game. A lot of people like watching that sort of stuff. But regardless, if you're interested in watching, Dan's what is it? Twitch
I'll put it in the
is
description.
in description. It's Twiglit with all eyes and two eyes and the first twig. So TWIIGILIT. I think
Thanks.
that's right, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I'll write it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I guess. What other games have I played this week? There is one other one. I'm just making sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah. So the other one is Celeste. I completed it today.
Now, come on, man. Be honest. Did you shed a tear?
It definitely choked me up a little bit, especially chapter 6, where you're sitting at the fireplace with Ty or something.
Afro Man.
Yeah. And you're having that conversation, really going into who you are and who they are. And can we? I don't know how much I should spoil because it's a really special experience. I want to keep it low on spoilers.
Spoiler alert for the next 5 minutes. Literally only listen. I'm being serious, guys. If I find out that any of you have listened to this and you haven't played Celeste, I'm going to hunt you down.
No, seriously,
right?
I thought.
5
I thought this would be a solid platformer.
Oh, Kevin. Kevin's here. No, don't
Kevin,
spoil it.
you're going to play Celeste? Yes. Okay. In that case, I won't spoil it.
We'll
I will say in that case that the development of the main character, and when you understand who she is and who the reflection is, and the whole the interactions between those characters and the understanding of what's happening there and how I'm being really careful with my words here.
Yeah, I could tell.
the way it expresses how some people, or maybe everybody, has two sides to themselves, and how those can be in conflict. Oh man, it was so beautiful and so profoundly done. And you know what I'm saying, Ben, right?
Yep.
I'm glad I'm making some sense.
Yeah.
And I finished it like the day after Mental Health Awareness Day as well, and I think that was perfect. Like.
Yeah, I finished. We'll get on to Senua in a bit, but I finished Senua on Mental Health Day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the timing of those two games was stunning. And yeah, Ben, honestly, thank you so much for making me play that game because
it's phenomenal.
It was truly
amazing.
It was a really, really special experience.
Good God, Ben.
Really special. What a game.
Yeah. There you go. That's one down. Hollow Knight next, and then on to Ori.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so glad I played
The
that.
Holy Trinity.
I'm not going to tell you how many times I died because it feels disingenuous.
How many? Tell me.
Well, I don't know if that's a fair number because I was really lazy with these strawberries towards the end. Because I just kind of wanted to keep the momentum going and get towards the game
same.
time for the podcast.
So
I
how
literally
many?
got like no strawberries in my last couple of.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
How many?
Hold on. It was 1,000 and something.
High, low, mid.
1,800 and something, I think.
Okay, yeah. So it's about 200 less than me, roughly.
Oh, cool. So yeah, roughly the same.
Yeah.
About 2K.
Yeah.
And that number is a number that I'm proud of. Can I just say this? If anybody is listening to this, I'm proud of that number. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Don't feel bad if you get 5,000-6,000 because that's probably going to happen.
No, and if you do, then even more credit to you for pushing through and getting to the end of that game with that many deaths because it's so worth it.
It is worth it. It's really
worth
rewarding.
it. Seriously. Oh man, what a game!
All right, we done?
I think so.
Sweet.
I'm gonna halfway through you saying this, I'm gonna be, there's another game I've played because I feel like it's fine. Let's go on.
So we are done with the main portion of the show.
Yay!
So we are this week. We've obviously teased it for the last 3 weeks. We're going to be doing a game of the week. So from now on, there's a game of the week. So basically, every week we give the next person on rotation a game to play for the next 3 weeks. It gives us a chance to sort of share the games that we love or hate with each other, and they kind of have to play it, so they have no excuse anymore, which is great. So the next sort of portion of the show is going to be that. So if you haven't played Senua, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, don't listen to it because it's going to be super spoiler zone.
If you have some kind of want to play, like if you don't think you're going to be playing the game and you just want to listen to what it's like, stay here. But if you have any want at all to be playing this game, then you can either go right to the end and listen to the outro and see about next week, or I guess this would be goodbye for that bit.
Yeah, there'll be a timestamp in the description, just sort of pointing you to the end of this section, because I really don't want to spoil it for anyone. And for those of you that are interested or sort of on the fence about whether to listen to it or not, don't listen to it and just play it. Okay.
It's not a very long game.
It's longer than I thought it was, Dan.
Okay, fair enough.
But
if you're interested in it,
don't listen to it and play it, because it is very, very good.
Yeah, if you're vaguely interested in this kind of game at all and what it's about, then go for it, play it. Don't watch a playthrough. Don't watch a let's play. Just experience it yourself with good headphones.
Yeah. Sweet. All right, so I'm going to get on to it. So, Game of the Week. That's our jingle for Game of the Week.
That was
so the game of Kevin and Dan's choice to give me that I've been playing over the last 3 weeks is Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So Kevin, you've never played this?
Nope, never heard of it either.
Never heard of it either. Cool. Have you heard of Ninja Theory?
Nope.
Cool.
This is a good foundation.
Good.
And you couldn't
start,
tell this
yes.
might have been more Dan's persuasion to the.
Yeah.
No, I know he's been one of his players for yonks. So,
And
yeah.
going by the sounds of it, that's probably a good idea that he did.
Yes. It is. Yeah. So okay, but what we're gonna do? Let me just put some sort of context into this. So the game of the week is going to be split into 4 vague sort of sections, just so we have a similar sort of format whenever we're talking about these games. The first one being explain what the game is. So I'm going to tell you what the game is, and then the second one is expectation versus reality, and then pros and cons, and then would I recommend. So the first point is explain what the game is. So the game is a linear atmospheric game, I'd say. I can't really put a genre on it, because you can't really call it hack and slash, and you can't really call it horror. It's kind of got tropes from loads of different types of games. So I'm just going to say atmospheric game, about the main character Senua's journey into Helheim to rescue the soul of her loved one. I'm reading what I wrote and it doesn't make any sense. Yes, to rescue the soul of her loved one. Basically, she journeys into Helheim, which is like the Nordic. Is it Nordic?
Yeah.
Like the Viking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's created by a very well-known company called Ninja Theory, who have also made games such as. Go on, Dan.
Oh my god! Why do you keep doing this to me and just catching me off guard?
Every single week, I think we've done this once.
I know, I love it.
Every week. You know that I know the answer to these questions. It's just I'm just not ready for them.
But I thought I was your brother now.
Ninja Theory.
They've made the DMC
Sword.
spin-off.
They made Heavenly Sword and DMC, of course. Yeah.
The DMC spin-off one, which was great as well. Yeah. But they are like masters in the art of hack and slash, basically. So they've made loads of those sorts of games. So yeah, that's what sort of game it is. Expectation versus reality. So what I was expecting was, sorry, I'm just moving about in my chair. It's going to be a little bit noisy for a second. There you go. I was expecting a story-based hack and slash similar to God of War, I guess. Like that sort of, here's your story. This is you're playing out this story in the role of this character, and I expected it to be really on the nose, sort of in your face. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Like
so
a script that is followed.
Yeah, exactly.
Beginning, middle,
like
and end type.
Yeah, because when you look at screenshots and you look at the main actor and stuff, you think kind of like playing out a film, kind of like Last of Us sort of thing. So
What an actor, by the way.
yeah, I'll get onto that. And reality. So that was my expectation, and the reality was. So what I've written here is kind of my perfect encapsulation of the game, in my opinion. So an atmospheric game that is pure genius at telling complicated stories about mental health and accepting loss.
Nice.
What do you think of that?
Yeah, I like that as a summary.
Yeah, that's the sort of thing like if you know when you go to like an IGN review and then it has the score and then like the little sentence next to it, or PC Gamer review.
Yeah.
That's the sentence that would go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what a game, man!
It's something special,
Oh
isn't it?
man, it is so good.
It's unlike anything else out there, in my opinion.
Yeah. So okay, I'll go through my list of pros and then my list of cons. The list of pros is significantly longer than the list of cons. So I've written here. This is one of the early things I wrote. So the combat is satisfying.
Which is interesting because initially when we first spoke about this, you were like, the combat seems unnecessary. And
Yeah,
it's not
you did say that.
It doesn't feel like
Yeah.
it should be part of the game. And
At that point, I'd only faced against one type of enemy
Right.
and only one enemy at a time.
Yeah.
It was literally enemy spawns, whack 'em to death, enemy spawns, whack 'em to death, and it was all the same enemy.
Mhm.
By the end of the game, there's loads of types of enemies, which is great, and you get these this new like focus ability thing, which is really cool. Where you like slow down time and you're doing all this funky stuff, and it's quite cool. I didn't realise that that there is more controls than just X.
oh,
Um,
so is that why the combat was a bit boring?
I found out literally in the last chapter, I found out that you can parry and
Oh my
do
God.
loads of other stuff.
I mean, to be fair,
So
the game gives you zero tutorial on anything at all.
Yeah, but that was really short-sighted of me. You know, you think
Didn't
there's no
press all the
tutorial.
buttons.
I didn't press all the buttons. I spent 8 hours of that game just using A and X. That was
Oh,
it.
you poor thing.
Yeah, and I found out in the last chapter that you could
How did
parry,
you find out?
and I was just like, I had to look at a YouTube tutorial for one, but
Well, you saw him parry and you're like, what?
yeah, literally. I saw the parry and I was like, "Are you taking the piss?" I was just, I was fuming, man. So once I figured that out, and there's a lot of fighting towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
the combat was great. I really liked it. Yeah, especially when they throw multiple different types of enemies at you.
Yeah.
It eases you into it by showing one enemy at a time, sort of thing, and you know, each type of enemy they show them one at a time, and then eventually it's like, oh, you have to fight this big dude with an axe and this little guy with a shield at the same time, and it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, next point, the atmosphere is ridiculous.
God's here. Like,
It got to, yeah. Except basically, let me try and explain what the atmosphere is like. How do I explain this? So you start the game on a little boat going into this place, and you have to play the game with headphones. If you haven't played it with headphones, you're an idiot. It even tells you to play with headphones, and if you didn't listen to that, then you're an idiot. And basically, I mean, I might as well tell you the story, I guess. But you're basically playing as Senua, who has psychosis, so schizophrenia, pretty much.
Hmm.
And you hear voices throughout the entire game, and the voices will come at you from all different sort of angles. You know, you can hear them in front of you, sides and behind you and stuff, all slightly different. It feels like loads of different voices in your head when you're playing with headphones. And they just set up the atmosphere so well. I can't even describe it
it's like
properly.
it's the tone of and the contradiction of the voices at times as well.
Yeah,
and
that's a key point, the contradiction.
Yeah.
I'll come into that bit in
Okay,
a bit.
sorry,
Yeah. But they nothing is empty in the game. You know, it's a very empty world in reality, and you're walking around and these voices are just consistently talking, and it just makes for a really creepy atmosphere, I think is the thing. I think creepy atmosphere is sort of dark and creepy and, you know, full of its dark ways, as Kevin would say.
Nice.
Just the I can't even I don't think I'll be able to do it justice trying to describe it. You have to play it. Even if you only play like up to the first boss or something, you can see that atmosphere coming out. Like, there's no tutorials. Instead, the voices in your head tell you what you're supposed to be doing, and they laugh at you. You try and push open the door, and it's like, you can't go through there, idiot, and things like
God,
that.
you've been giving me
And
flashbacks.
just loads of things like that, and it's just so clever. I can't even do it justice by describing it, so I'm not even going to bother trying anymore.
There's one bit in particular that stands out to me where you're walking across a ledge and the voices are going, "Don't look down, don't look down, don't look down," and then one that goes,
Yeah.
"Look down," and you look down, and they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh man, just yeah."
But it adds so much to the atmosphere, right? There's a bit where you can't go into the dark, so there's loads of puzzles I'll come into in a sec, but there's a bit where you can't go into the dark, and you have a torch, and you're just walking along. Nothing's happening. You're just walking along, and the voices are just saying things like really quiet in the background, like the torch is going out.
Oh man.
And stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it just adds so much to it. It's terrifying. But the atmosphere is ridiculous. Like if I was to score this on the atmosphere alone, it would be a 10 out of 10, like without a shadow of a doubt. The puzzle mechanics are fun for the first 6 hours, very tedious by the last 3 hours.
Agreed.
So the first 6 hours I actually really enjoyed the puzzles. The gateways in the Crow world, does that make sense, Dan?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that, yeah.
The gateways are really cool. Basically, there's these gateways where when you look through them, something changes. So if you go through the gate, there's a locked door, and then there's a gate to your right, and then you look through the gate, and the door's open.
Right, I do remember.
So you have to keep going through all these gates to sort of like change the perspective of the world so that you can progress. It's really cool, really interesting. Again, for the first 6 hours, but by the end, I've already talked about that. I've basically just written masterpiece and storytelling as a pro point because it's not in your face, it's not dictated to you what you're supposed to think. You just think it because you're in her mind.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Right at the start of the game, you have your first fight, and then it says, the rot. So basically, your hand starts rotting, and it says the rot will progress up to your brain, and then if it gets every time you fail, and then it's every time you die, and then if it gets to your brain, it's game over and you lose all your progress.
This is it's worth highlighting that this is the only piece of text in the entire game. It's the only thing that it tells you bluntly and outright.
So good job it does tell you that, didn't it? Imagine.
No, but again, this is why I say it's a masterpiece in storytelling. That rot has such an important part to play in the story, and also, again, it's a masterpiece in atmosphere because that if it wasn't for that, this game wouldn't be scary at all. The fights are so intense because you know that every time you die, you're getting closer to having to start that game again.
Mm-hmm.
So it adds so much anxiety to the experience, which is what it's designed to do. That's the key word, because again, you're in the mind of Senua. So when you're in that mind, you're like, she's anxious, obviously, but you're traveling to Helheim, and I presume it's probably a bit of an anxiety-inducing situation, but you're in her mind, and just that simple mechanic, adding that in, is just adds so it's perfect. I hated it so much, but
you're gonna hate me even more, Ben. We're in the spoiler section anyway. The rot can't reach your brain. You can die a million times.
No, I imagined that by the end because the story kind of gives that away at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it
works.
works.
To the end of the minute,
So
but it's perfect. I'm glad I didn't.
It does it so you can't actually.
You won't lose all your progress, basically.
They're not as cruel as deleting your save file when that happens. It will slowly get closer and closer to your brain, and just before it reaches there, it will just basically not get any further. It doesn't tell you that in the game, really. It's just a way of setting it all up for you.
So they've literally put that in, even though it's not a thing.
To scare you.
They've just put that line of text in just to scare you. That's it.
How do you like? Does it go up at certain moments more than other times?
No, every time you die, you see the rock get closer to your head. So it travels from your hand up your arm.
Okay, so if you died a million times, it'd get to one point and you just stop.
Yeah, but I'll get to why in a minute as well. But they literally add that in there just to fill you with anxiety.
Which is exactly what you
genius.
want when you're embodying somebody that's suffering psychosis, and
Yeah.
like essentially the world is the manifestation of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, moving on. So the music in the final sequence is so good.
Mm-hmm. What an epic moment! Like just
That,
pushing
oh
through
my
that
God,
final
yeah.
struggle.
And yeah, I'll get to the finale in a minute, but it was really embarrassing. Yeah, so another point I've said, how the psychosis is portrayed in the game is amazing. So basically, it's the yeah, another point to go with that, changes in voices from negative at the start to helping you at the end. So basically, these voices, they start off basically telling you you're shit and you can't do anything, right? And then as you progress in the game, you're battling psychosis, and you're battling stuff that has happened to you, to you and to your family and stuff like that. And as you're on this journey, the voices change to represent that. So they start off by being really negative all the time, pretty much. You know, they might say, "Oh, go over there, do that," but that's about it. And then otherwise, they just say you suck and you fail all the time. Whereas towards the end, they're a lot more helpful and a lot more like, "Oh, she can actually do this. She can do it." You know, things like that. And you're like, that again, that simple change, that slow transition into the voices actually helping you, and you realizing that that's who you are, sort of thing, and it's not just a negative thing. It's just, yeah, amazing. Again, storytelling.
I mean, yeah, I think there's another point in the game where it feels like you've defeated quotation marks the voices, and they stop, and you don't hear a voice for ages, and you're like, oh, they've gone. Like you've managed to solve the riddle of the voices, and then there's a part where they slowly start to creep back into your consciousness again, and they all come back, and it all goes wrong. Beautifully done. Do you mind if I say a quick bit, because it's perfect to what I wanted to say? So you were saying about how well they portray psychosis. So the people that made this game put so much work into researching this. It was funded by the Wellcome Trust, who are basically a charity that work with people with severe mental illnesses like psychosis, schizophrenia. They also collaborated with a recovery college, which is a health facility that deals with people. They call them voice hearers, but people that do hear voices on a daily basis. Like some of these people that they were dealing with and consulting with to make these games are people that have to live in rooms with angry voices screaming at them, people constantly slamming on their doors, you know, people trying to break through their windows, and it's all in their heads that this isn't happening, but these are real human beings. One of the other people that they worked with was somebody that would frequently see corpses just hanging from the ceiling in their room that was so realistic to her that she would jump out of her bed and try and rescue them. Like, all of these people were involved in the creation of the game, and at the end of, once they had a playable prototype, they even went so far as to go back to all of the people that they consulted with, all the medical professionals and the people that were sick, ask them to play through the demo just to make sure that they weren't being misrepresented. And I think that's just a really important part of what
definitely. Like, and again, following on from that, this was a tiny team of people that made this.
About 20.
Oh my lord.
That's tiny. Like, it's insane. I can't really
How
believe
did
it,
all of them manage to make a game what it sounded like that good?
I know, it's mad, yeah. And then the last point I'll say for pros is, do you guys know who the actor is?
No, I don't think so. I thought she was just like somebody that helped on the game and.
No. She's the video editor of the game.
Yeah.
And she literally was just like, I'll do it. Are you mad? Like, that's ridiculous. That talent that came out of that is insane. Like,
how intense are those moments where she's like looking into the camera and.
I know, it's madness, man. So her name's Melina. God, I'm gonna butcher her name right now. Melina Juergens, something like that. And she, phenomenal, just an amazing actor. And obviously, she's put tons of work into it, because when you have a team of 20 people making something like that, they've all put tons of work into it. But she's done that and also done the face capture and stuff of herself. And I don't think she's done any other acting, and her performance was just insane. I think she might have won a BAFTA for it or something as well.
Yeah, I think she did win something like that.
Yeah, which is just incredible.
And
For
you
such a
got to remember
tiny,
that
it's just amazing.
so many of these monologues, and bearing in mind she's basically the only like physical character in this world. This is why all of the signs point to all of this happening in a way as a manifestation of what's happening in her mind. But because she's the only character, there are scenes where it's one long take. Like she's literally looking into the camera, doing a monologue, doing all of the motion capture, and there's no cuts. And some of those moments are absolutely unforgettable. Like truly.
Yeah,
truly special.
completely. Yeah. You know what? Sod this. I'm not even going to go through the cons because they are completely irrelevant. I don't even care.
Wait, which means there are cons.
Oh god, yeah, okay, fine. Performance not great. Bit longer than it needed to be, in my opinion. More boss fights would have been good, and getting caught on walls in combat. Like those things are minuscule in comparison to the actual game, right? But okay, let me just explain. Sort of, this is spoiler zone anyway. So basically, the game happens. You know, there's all these changes in the voices. You get to the end, and I got really emotional towards the end. Right? It's basically like I said, it was a story of Senua, you know, journey to Helheim to get her retrieve the soul of her loved one. Begins with D. Name I can't remember.
Dylan or Dillian or something.
Dillian, that's the one. Yeah. And throughout this, you know, there's other things coming up. You keep hearing your father's voice, in certain situations and stuff. And there's this really creepy voice in the game, like really like a lot more creepier than that. And you find out towards the end of the game that it's your dad. And essentially, it turns out your dad killed your mum because she had psychosis, and then essentially locked Senua away, stopping her from seeing anyone because she could hear voices as well. And it's so emotional, man. It's yeah, like heart-wrenching, really.
Yeah.
And basically this Dillian fella that comes along is the person that tells her that she is not crazy, you know? Tells her to see the beauty in the world, sort of thing. God.
It's pretty powerful, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's insane.
There was a
Sorry. What was I saying? Yeah, so Dillian basically, there's a quote that comes from it. Hold on. Sorry if you can hear typing.
You just play this game while you googling.
It's a quote. Sorry, Charlotte just came in quickly. It's good. Right, yeah. So the quote. This basically, this is Dillian talking to Senua about what she's been locked in a room, going, trapped in her own thoughts and stuff. Her dad's basically saying your mum is insane, because she's been infected by the darkness, which is what this rot represented from the hand. And it basically kept saying, if you don't sort yourself out and stop hearing these voices, then the darkness will infect you as well. It's already infecting you. You're screwed, sort of thing. And the same fate is going to happen to you because the darkness is like a plague and all that stuff. And, all this stuff has happened to her. And then Dillian comes along, and so this is like the quote that the game almost finishes on. And it's, do not mourn the waves, the leaves, and the clouds, because even in darkness, the wonder and beauty of the world never leaves. It's always there, just waiting to be seen again.
Okay.
And that like perfectly finishes off the game.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, like that is you going into the darkness of hell. Your dad saying you are being infected with darkness. You are crazy. You're gonna go. You're a plague. You're horrible. Because even in darkness, the wonder and beauty of the world never leaves. Is like, oh man, it's just such a. And that moment when that becomes apparent is when you're at the top of like the tower of Helheim, sort of thing, looking over the mountains, and it's just an absolutely stunning game. I can't. Yeah. How long? I feel like I was just speaking for about 20 minutes.
Oh no, it's good. I'm so glad that you had like a similar experience to me when I first played that.
Yeah.
Like what you were just saying about the final. I think it all ties back really nicely to a quote that the creator Anton, I think his name was, put out in the development of the game. He said I learned that people can experience hallucinations and delusional beliefs without it being a problem. The illness comes when those experiences cause suffering. Often the recovery is not about curing yourself of hallucinations, but finding ways to live with them. That was a revolution to me. And
that is the game.
Yeah.
He's literally made a game around that quote.
Yeah. I mean, he dealt with
like
all of these
that
people.
Perfectly encapsulates it.
He interacted with so many of these people suffering at such close proximity that I think he really got a sense for it. You know, not just in the visuals and the sound design and everything else in terms of trying to represent what these people were experiencing, but also, yeah, like living with one of these mental illnesses. And also, like, it's worth mentioning how much research they put into the history around all of this and the time that it was set in. Like, there were genuinely accounts of people that did hear voices. You know, at one point in time, they might have been called witches. I can't remember what they called them in these Nordic times. I think it was like Gelt or something like that. But they were basically people that did hear voices and were, you know, sent out into the woods that would go and live off, and they were considered to be, you know, channeling dark spirits and plagues to the communities and that sort of stuff. And there's a lot of accounts of all of that. So they've really, really dug deep when it comes to representing something in a really realistic way. And it tells, really, really does show, and it tells an amazing story. I'm so glad that you had the experience that I had.
So, so the fourth point, like I said, that we would address is: would I recommend? Do I do I need to answer that? Yes, I would 100% recommend this to every soul, and I would give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Like, there's no.
I was not expecting a 10 out of 10 from you, to be honest.
I don't like. It's. I'm a bit of an arse when it comes to reviewing games. Usually in other games, I could just be like, performance issues, and it was a bit longer than it needed to be, and getting caught on walls in combat. You know, things like that would make me go, it's a 9.5 if it wasn't for those issues. But this game, man, it was a revelation. Like, it was insanely good. It was but you know, the other thing I need to address, I kept saying to Charlotte, right, that it was a slog to get through.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about it, and I was like, why is it a slog to get through? And then you realise it's because it's so intense. Mm-hmm. It's so dark. And then you realise when you get to the end of it, you're like, oh shit, it's dark because it's supposed to be like that. Yeah. It's dark because you're in the mind of Senua, and that is a dark place to be.
Exactly.
And it was just amazing. All I want to say is thank you so much, Ninja Theory, for putting that much effort and just that much care into a game. Yeah. I haven't played a game with that much care in it. The last game I played with this much care put into it is Celeste, probably, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it's just eye-opening and amazing. And again, thank you so much. And yeah, that's our game of the week.
I'm so glad you enjoyed that as much as I did. Like, yeah, I 100%.
Oh, we forgot to let you know what the game of the week for next week was before this bit.
Never mind, we can do it now.
That's alright.
Alright.
Yeah. Kevin, what do you think of that? You were quite quiet there.
So I did Google it to see what it looked like on the front, and I've seen the game before. It's really weird because seeing the name Senua Sacrifice, never seen it before, but seeing the actual picture
Did you see Hellblade?
And Hellblade,
yeah,
I have seen the game before. I get it, but I admit I knew nothing about it. It does sound, to be honest, it sounds more like you're almost living a story on like an alternate reality kind of thing.
But it has got lots of gameplay mechanics in it, so it's not like it's not like it would be better as a movie.
Yeah, I don't deny that.
It's perfect as a game. Yeah.
It sounds very. It's one of them ones that I haven't played a story game in such a long time, a story-driven game, that it's one of them ones that I guess if I was to play a story-driven game, it'd be that. I get on probably Celeste, I guess, because you guys seem to rave and rant about that thing.
I'd probably say play Celeste, only because I've spoiled a fair chunk of Senua right now.
Yeah, because I guess the whole thing
Yeah.
about the actually not like having this cancer go to your brain is kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
It is.
No,
It's
that-
not
that-
part of that,
don't-
is it? I mean, in reality, I probably wouldn't play the game unless you gave it to me. Because
Yeah,
That's
well, we're
kind
not
of
going to
what we
give it to you
thought.
now.
I think we
'cause
wouldn't
you've
have
done
spoiled it if we
Yeah.
hadn't thought that.
Yeah. It is like I said, it is a slog to get through. But that's the reason I said it could be a bit shorter. But again, for the reasons like I said, it's because it's so dark. But it's you'd need. I don't know whether I'd. My mind is thinking, but my words are not thinking. I would say play it. I really would say play it, but only if you can appreciate it for what it stands for.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If you just try and play it as a video game, it's like a 7 out of 10.
you know what I need?
But it's
I need like a nice chunk of time to sit down and actually take it in. I can't. I don't feel like it's
Yeah.
a game where like if I've got like an hour to play a game, I could.
No, and Kevin, if I ever hear that you play this game whilst listening to music, we're done.
I
We're done.
haven't listened to
Seriously,
music.
you're off the podcast.
I mean, I'm
Forever.
playing SimCity at the moment, and all I'm doing at the moment is just watching YouTube while I play it, because it's kind of a game where you can.
Okay, that's the rule still applies. with
Okay, yeah,
YouTube.
well, yeah, but
Well, Ben, this is why I panicked the other day when you was like, "Oh, it's okay. I can just play through this bit of Hellblade whilst we talk on Discord."
I was joking.
And yeah, that literally worried me so much.
No.
Awesome.
Yeah, amazing game. Anyway, so now we have started the rotation. So next week will be Mr. Daniel, right? Yeah, Evil Within. So
I will do
I'm
my-
very curious.
I will do my best to complete that game. I'm still
yeah,
trying
do
to
your
work
best.
out how
It is a
to
good.
schedule all of the timing because I feel like I've still got like.
What
7 to 10
chapter
hours
are you
left.
on? Do you know?
Good question. I can't remember 5 or 6 or something. I don't know.
either way, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, just try your best.
I will
'cause
do my
it's,
best. Yeah, because I do want to play it and I'm enjoying it, and it would be a shame to not get to the ending in time for next week.
Yeah, the ending is very good as well. So
Good.
yeah. Right. So do you guys want to give me my game for the next 3 weeks because the rotation has started again?
Do you want me to go over this, Dan?
Yeah, go for it. It's a very different game to the last one. I
Yeah.
think you'll appreciate this one.
That's probably a good thing, to be honest.
I personally don't know how long the game is, and I guess it more depends on how good and how quick you pick it up. But it's The Escapist 2.
That's the prison one. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah,
interested.
so I've played the first one, and I played like a minuscule of the second one, but I have watched a lot of the second one. So it's one of them ones that if you are talking about it, I'm not like I will know about it and stuff. And Dan did say that it will probably be a good idea if you play it yourself again, and I wouldn't even mind that myself. So
Yeah, you play it as well.
yeah,
Oh, damn, it's got good
yeah,
Yeah,
people.
I don't know anything about this, and I'm going to purposely avoid all spoilers because I'm really interested to hear about it.
I saw a tiny bit of the first one. All I know is that it's pretty free flow.
Yeah.
So like you can like escape the prison in any way you
Oh,
want
that
and
sounds-
stuff
Yeah,
like that.
there's a yeah. Well, you play the
Yeah.
game and let us know. Let us know 3 weeks if we are still doing the 3 week thing. We're not doing the 6 week thing.
Yeah, we'll do 3 weeks for now. We'll do like another rotation, and then we might be changing to every 6 weeks after a while, so that we can play some longer games.
Yeah.
We don't want to just be limited to shorter games because, like, Kevin needs to get through Skyrim at some point. So.
Excuse me.
In terms of, sorry, this is really boring for listeners, but is this on? How much is this?
I have no clue.
All right, cool. I'm pretty sure it's on Switch, and I think it's on sale at the minute.
Awesome.
So I might pick it up on there because I'll definitely play a lot more of it if it's on Switch. So cool, yeah, sweet. I'm excited for that. It's very, very, very different, and I love a good indie game. You know me, so.
It's quite cheap.
Wait, did that say it was Team 17?
I don't know.
It is. It's Team 17. It's people that did thingy. Dead Cells, I think.
Oh, nice. Yeah, all I've seen is some screenshots and the reviews, which look pretty good. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to hear about it. If it's good, I'm going to play it too.
Sweet,
Yes.
yes.
Alright.
Cool, alright, yeah, so that's the end of the show. I think we just about made it to 3 hours, so...
Yeah, guys,
We
we
are-
hit our 2-hour target.
We hit our 2-hour target, woo! Yeah, so if you're coming back now after the Senua chat, go play Senua.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, yeah, Dan, set up the timestamp for just before I say that, yeah.
Will do.
Sweet. Cool. So thank you everyone for listening. If anyone sat through the whole 3 hours of this, then thank you even more than the rest of you lot, alright, that pitched out early.
Yeah.
So,
I hope you had as much fun as we did.
yeah, it was good fun. So leave some feedback. Kevin, if people want to leave feedback, or if they just want to, generally appreciate all the hard work we do and just love, adore us, and just follow our goings on social medias and thing, how do they do
You
so?
can do it on Praise the Pickle podcast at gmail.com.
You have to type it in that
Yes.
accent as well.
Or you can tweet at us, send us a private message on at Praise the Pickle. All one word, apparently.
What is this voice?
It's the 3 hour mark of madness.
Oh yeah.
Or see us, get us on Facebook, facebook.com Praise the Pickle. I believe Facebook's probably where the majority of it's coming from at the moment. Our Twitter's a bit of a ghost town, so you know what? Go over there,
Yeah,
tweet us, do something. Get us active over there, because we're all trying to get ourselves a bit more active in the community as well.
Yeah, and speaking of active in the community, Dan,
Yeah.
where are we next week?
Oh, on Saturday next week. Is it the 19th? I think it's the 19th, isn't it?
Yeah.
We will be at London EGX 2019.
Yeah, boy.
So give us a shout if you're going to be there too. And
Might get a
we
packet
will
of
hook up.
Haribos, or maybe a £10 gift voucher.
If you find us.
$10. Alright. If you find us, you will receive a $10 Amazon gift
We
card.
will be
alright?
carrying around a 7-foot gigantic pickle
Pickle.
with LED lights. I was going to say dildo, but I realised that that's
I thought
not
you were going to say
carrying.
Kevin, because I'm not going to be there, but
We're gonna get a cardboard cutout.
and I'll have cardboard cutouts of both of you and sit you next to me in my football match.
Yeah. So me and Dan, we're going to be bringing Haribos and gift cards to get the word out of the
Gift cards?
Gift cards.
We're going to make a living
God,
off
the
of
3
us.
hour mark has hit me hard, man. Yeah, so come and say hi. Take a business card. You have no idea what we look like, obviously. So just look for the people carrying
Just
loads
look
of
for the
Haribo
two
around with them.
6'5" guys with glasses carrying Haribo.
That's a pretty
There you
good
go.
description.
Yeah, the 6'5" Harry Potter. Look for him.
Or just
Cool,
scream
thank
pickle
you.
and they'll come running.
Yeah.
If we
If
hear
anyone
anybody
shouts
scream
pickle, we will
come
sprint.
charging towards you.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Anyway, right, let's close out there. Thank you again, everyone, for listening. Play Senua, play Celeste. Yeah, peace out. Pickle Squad's out.
Bye.
Laters.